White. Wide open, Torrence! Oh, baby! Touchdown! How do you leave the best receiver in the NAIA that wide open?
You show, and that's what we do! Cat!
You're proud of me? And it's caught! Oh my goodness! Troy Torrence comes down with it!
Welcome all to Bankroll Blitz. Happy Tuesday, November 5th to all of you. Week 10 of the NFL season awaits our breakdowns. I'm coming off a big week, much needed. 8-3 plus 4.81 units. So I move into the black. You had a wild roller coaster ride of a week. 13-12 down 0.14 units. You are inching towards the black. Very, very close towards the black. I imagine we join here in Tuesday, November 12th. We're both in the black. That is the plan here, and you're very close. How are you, my man?
I'm doing a lot. I would be doing a lot better had the Browns won and at least covered the teaser legs for me, which was, a little bit rough after gloating and celebrating how great I've been in teasers. Of course, the house of cards comes collapsing down with the Browns. So you remove that, I had a plus 8 unit week. Unfortunately, I had 6 units on the Browns. Other than that, man, everything's going well. We're going to be in the black come next week.
You know, I had the Breeders' Cup. I had 2 leans that I wanted to move on. The under in Atlanta, Dallas, and the under in the Lions, Packers. I didn't move on. They would have cashed, but I'm fine with how the week worked for me. 8-3. Plus 4.81 units. So Jets minus 1.5, Houston, New York Jets under 42. We crushed the Thursday game. We've been hitting these Thursday games very hard over the last few weeks. Lost the Browns plus 111. My double up, it worked. Remember, I said I had to double down on the Rams because I was going to be on the under 48.5, and I didn't want that to get in the way of the bag. So Rams money line minus 118 cash, Rams minus 116 cash. Now that was fortunate. It was a pretty wild football game, man. Then Seattle, LA, Rams under 48.5 cashed. Ravens minus 9 cashed. Lions minus 3 cashed. Colts plus 5.5 lost. Tampa Bay, KC first half over 22.5 lost. And Tampa Bay, KC full game over 44.5 lost. Troy, the week for you was wild. As you said, the Browns hurt you dearly. You smash and grab the Thursday nighter, the under 42.5, Jets minus 1.5, Jets money line. And then the Browns took a huge chunk of change off of you, as you mentioned, a bunch of different spots that you tied the Browns in. And the Chargers team total under 21.5 as well. Ravens minus 9.5, you cashed. Bears money line, you didn't. But Rams money line, Rams minus 1.5. Rams, Eagles money line, parlay, cash. And then a missed opportunity there with a 3-team teaser. Then you cash Lions money line, Lions minus 3. Detroit, Baltimore money line parlay, cash. Colts plus 5.5, Colts plus 5, Colts plus 6.5 for 3 losers, and then you finish strong last night. KC, Tampa Bay over 46, Bucks plus 9, and then your teaser of 13.5 and over 34. Cash. That was the week. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We got Stacking Cream in the house. Gerald Jones, Wine Time Sports, Top MF in here. Dougie Wise. Gravy Bets, the Nuke Worker, Ziggy Balls, D. Jenkins, Kirk Gray. Great to see all of you guys. Thank you for rocking with us. We know it's an enormously important night for the United States of America, but this is a football show, not a show about politics. So we are going to stick our heads in the sand and focus on gridiron action. Are you ready to get to work, my man?
Let's do it.
We start off Thursday, November 7th, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Cincinnati Bengals 4-5. 3-1 on the road. Baltimore Ravens 6-3, 3-1 at home. We're at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. 67 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 4-mile-per-hour winds. Let's get into the line history. What a monster Thursday nighter we have ahead of us, and we're right in the range that excites you very, very much. We have Baltimore right now minus 5.5 at minus 112, opening up at 6.5. Moving to 5.5. Now, it is juiced to Baltimore right now, but we have a 1-point move through the 6 to the Bengals. On the total here, we have a 52.5 juice to the over. This opened up at 52.5. And so it opened up 52.5, and then there was a 10-cent move to the under. Looked like we were going to get 52s, and then it flipped. There was a 20-cent move to the over, hit the high water mark a little after midnight last night or this morning, however you want to phrase it. Got to minus 120 to the over 52.5. You saw 53s on the board, and you still see 53s on the board. Right now, it is a 52.5 juiced to the over. Let's get to the cash flow here on a Tuesday, 5 days away from kickoff. We have, this is Thursday night. We're not talking 2 days away, 48 hours away from kickoff. We have 46% of the tickets, 50% of the cash on the Bengals, a 50-50 situation. We have just 27% of the tickets on the under and just 15% of the cash. So 73% of the tickets on the over and 85% of cash on said over. There we go. Saturated in the house. Aaron Gaza ready to get to work. Leonard Welch on Cincinnati team total over 2.5. D. Jenkins wondering if he should move on Burrows over 1.5. Passing touchdowns. We have Goran Ninkowski with a don't know. Thank you, Goran, my friend. He's got action with Ravens, Rams, money line, Eagles, Lions, Bills, money line. Thank you, Gorky, my friend. Dougie Wise on the Bengals +6. Let's talk about it here, X's and O's, and hand it over to our expert, Troy Torrence. Passing offense for the Bengals, been very good all year. Despite T. Higgins being out of the lineup, it's been very good. 7th ranked with yards a game, 236.3. Rushing offense has struggled. Now, will that change? We can talk more about it. Zach Morris. Jeez, my 8 years old watching Saved by the Bell. That's mess up. Their running back is gone. Now we have Khalil Herbert traded today for a 6th-round pick, but Chase Brown has taken over the number 1 spot here, and he deserves to have the opportunity. 27 carries and 120 yards in that last game. Gesicki led receivers with 5 catches for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. When T is not in the lineup, it's a little easier to focus all your energy on Jamar Chase, which leaves the tight end. The red zone offense has been great all year for the Bengals, 69.2%, 3rd in the league. Their 3rd down offense also very good, 3rd in the league at 46.9%. And then defense is the problem. Passing defense, 17th, allowing 212.4 yards a game. This is all improved too. Rush defense now 18th, allowing 130.4 yards a game. Red zone defense, 27th, allowing 67.9% of the time touchdowns. And then their 3rd down defense is a huge struggle. Both these teams have terrible 3rd down defense. So the Bengals coming off a 41-24 victory at home over the Raiders. Burrow 27-39 for 251 yards, tying a career high with 5 touchdowns and 1 interception. Bengals were 8-15 on 3rd down. Very impressive, 4-5 in the red zone. And the defense was strong throughout. Do we think that this defense is improving, or are the Raiders just a bad offense? Because the Raiders put up 217 total yards and 3.7 yards per play. Trey Hendrickson was an absolute menace. 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits by himself, including a strip sack of Desmond Ridder. Pass rush combined for 5 sacks and 13 quarterback hits. Logan Wilson all over the field, 9 tackles, and he recovered both Raider fumbles. Tight end Eric All Jr. Left in the 2nd quarter after injuring his right knee. That's an ACL tear he's done for the season. Defensive tackle BJ Hill with a hip injury. He left the game. He's listed as questionable this week. Offensive tackle Orlando Brown missed the Raiders game with a knee injury. He still has not returned to practice. He's listed as questionable this week. And T. Higgins has missed the Bengals' last 2 games after injuring his quad in practice 11 days ago. He's yet to practice since the injury. So if he's not around, it's Andre Yoshivas, who has not looked very good. Trenton Irwin, who's not looked very good. You double Jamar Chase, and then it's the tight ends who are the only ones that can hurt you. Let's talk about these Ravens coming off an impressive 41-10 beatdown of the Broncos in Baltimore. We were both on the Ravens. It was great. It was easy. Passing offense, 3rd in the league, 254 passing yards a game. Rushing offense, 1st, 191.9 yards per game. Red zone offense, 1st, 74.4%. 3rd down offense, 5th, 45.7%. What a phenomenal offense. Now, the pass defense still is a problem. Last in the league, allowing 280.9 yards per game, but they don't let much on the ground. They're number 1 in the league, allowing just 75.7. Red zone defense, 15th to 55.2%. 3rd down defense, 3rd last in the league, allowing touchdowns 46.2% of the time, just barely ahead of the Bengals. The Ravens come in off that impressive beatdown. Lamar Jackson, 16-19, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Perfect passer rating. That's the 4th perfect passer rating of his career, the most of any player in NFL history in games with at least 15 pass attempts. Zay Flowers, 5 for 127, 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry ran 23 times for 106 yards, 2 touchdowns, also caught a 27-yard pass. Scored a touchdown in every game this season. Third player to manage that, at least 10 rushing touchdowns. Third player to manage at least 10 rushing touchdowns in 7 straight years. Only other players to do that, LaDainian Tomlinson and Adrian Peterson. Justin Hill looked great backing him up. 5 carries for 15 yards, caught 3 for 43. Denver had only allowed 2 teams to reach 20 points this season. The Ravens put up 41. Offense put up 7.3 yards per play, 4-6 in the red zone. Defense was very strong throughout. Pitched the shutout in the second half. Held the Broncos to 1-4 in the red zone. And that's been an area of concern that we've talked about throughout the season is the Ravens' red zone defense. And 1-4 they held the Broncos to, moving in the right direction. Marlon Humphrey returned from a knee injury that kept him out last weekend against Cleveland. You could really tell he was back. Darius Washington had a pick. Pass rush, 4 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. This Ravens team is rolling, but we know what happened the first time these two teams met. They met in Cincinnati. Cincinnati should have won the game. Questionable decision-making down the stretch. Ravens win in overtime in a game that we were all pretty sure a few times that the Bengals were going to win. Do the Bengals have revenge? This is right around your key number, Troy. Take us home on the Thursday nighter. Bengals, Ravens, M&T Bank Stadium.
It's great when you start capping this week of the NFL and the first game you touch is this market right around this 6, heading in the right direction. I mean, immediately it grabbed my attention. I spent a lot of time with this game. I'll do my best to summarize everything that I went through. Last week you already touched on it. We bought the Ravens, and I made the argument that that you get this Ravens team off a loss. Yes, their defense is struggling, but we're talking about Bo Nix on the road, stepping up in class and going to have to be playing from behind most likely, which is not a situation that sets up well for Bo Nix in that offense. We know Bo Nix is under, below average at this point in his career. So comparing what we were looking at last week to this week, we're not talking about Bo Nix no more. We're talking about Joe Burrow, who I think is the best quarterback in the NFL, best drop back quarterback in the NFL. And actually, probably this matchup is featuring 2 of the best QBs in the NFL at this point, because what Lamar Jackson's doing is incredible. This Ravens team is probably the best offense I've ever witnessed, at least in my lifetime. So defensively, obviously they're getting a little bit marginally better each and every week, but they always struggle against good passing offenses. We've seen that throughout the entire season. This game kind of gives me vibes like the Dolphins-Bills game did. It's definitely in the same market environment. You got one of the best teams against a team that's still trying to put the shit together. One team that's captured the certainty of its backers versus a team there's still a lot of doubt. And you could tell in this line actually I was struggling with this line. The Bengals being 6-point dogs on the road against the Ravens. The last 2 times they were in Baltimore, they were 2 and 4-point dogs. So now we're looking at a 6-point line, but at least it's moving in the right direction. That's definitely giving me a lot more confidence. And I think the Bengals are poised to continue uptrending. I mean, we see this year in, year out with Joe Burrow and this Bengals team. They start the season slow. They ramp it up. They turn into one of the best teams in the league, and then they're a threat in the playoffs. I think that's going to be the case this season. I know that they haven't looked like the Bengals team of old. I do believe T. Higgins is going to be back. We know they're going to be able to move the ball against this defense. And it kind of reminds me, again, of what I seen yesterday with Tampa Bay and Kansas City. We've seen them put 38 points on this team just a few weeks ago. We know where the motivation is going to lie in this game. I think situationally favors the Bengals, and the database heavily supports the Bengals in a play like this. Unfortunately, I can't make a case for this Bengals defense. That's the one thing that's I can't put the feather in my cap when it comes to the Bengals defense, but I think checking 3 out of 4 boxes is enough for me. So I'm on the Bengals +6. I'm really considering an under in this game. If we close below the 5, you already know I'm going to have the 3 units on it, the 6, the 5.5, and the money line. We're going to see how it goes. I'm bullish on the Bengals this week.
Do you have any, because I really researched it, do you have any insight or anything for T. Higgins being in the lineup on Thursday, or just a feeling now that he's been off for 11 days? Because, it's just DNP after DNP.
I don't have any tangible evidence, Jimmy, to be honest with you. But we've seen him get back healthy just for this game just a few weeks ago. I mean, it was the same type of situation. And, He ended up playing in that one. I expect him to play in this one, especially as the Bengals are sitting 4-5, just a game out of a playoff spot.
I'd like to go back to this. He did not want to be franchised. That pissed him off. Jamar wanted the extension. He didn't get it. I don't think that T. Higgins, he's not being looked after. I don't think he's going to fight to come back, personally. I think that's why you've got to pay your stars and keep them happy. I think it's a major mistake that the Bengals did this in the offseason. What did you get the Bengals at +6 at what? Jude?
+6 at a pick, and there's 6.5s on the board. I mean, this is another market. I mean, it was really weird, too. This reminds me of the Colts a little bit, where right before kickoff, you can get a 5.5, you can get a 6.5. And usually you don't see that. You see a lot of these books in unison, lockstep. So I bet you this one kind of conforms towards the end of it. And to your point, I mean, we talked about that with the Chiefs game in week 2. I think when it comes to certain teams and certain step-up spots, especially a divisional game or a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to step up to the plate. They're going to give their best effort. And even without T. Higgins is definitely a concern. I'm making this bet and watching this line movement, thinking he's going to be in the game.
I get it. I really get it. I really get the look on Cincy. They're playing good football. Their defense is tightened up. I'm not going to use the Raiders game as an example for it. I think the Ravens are still vulnerable. But I'm going to need to sit
the
with this.
The back door is going to be open all day long with Joe Burrow against this Ravens defense. So,
yeah, no, I get it. I think it's a good time, to fade the Ravens, after they won so easily last week. They've been, it's been working, backing the Ravens when they have not looked good and staying away from them after they look spectacular. And the Bengals have a lot to prove right now at 4-5, and they've been great on the road all year at 3-1. Not a lot of believers in the chat, but I'm with you and I'm interested. I'm not moving on it here.
Go look at Lamar Jackson at home as a favorite of 3 or more against a divisional opponent. It's not good. It's outright losses.
And also everyone thinking of the 41-38. I believe that was the final score game, earlier in the year. And, the over is just going to get hammered. And, we talked about the reasons for Tampa Bay, Kansas City overs and why we still moved on it live, even though when it was, didn't look so good. Moved on at halftime at 37.5. It was the third down offense. Here we have a different situation a little bit, even though both third down offenses are very, very good. We have some red zone issues here. I guess everybody's going to look at how bad this red zone defense is for the Bengals, how bad this red zone defense is for the Ravens, and hammer the over. And I don't know if it's that simple. And we see zigzag movement often here when you see two teams, rivals, playing against each other, and the first game soars over and the second one doesn't. I'm interested. I'm really interested in the under as well. I don't know if I get there. I'm interested in the Bengals. I want to see where it closes.
Here you go, Jim.
Take it away.
When home teams in division that open between 6 and 7 and the line moves towards the road team. The road team is 86% ATS, 86%. And it's also 86% to the under. So, and this is a high total.
Very high.
Not you don't see like this is such an outlier total.
There's so much on the line. Ravens, as dominant as they've looked at times, they're just 6-3. Lose here, they're 6-4. I mean, they're not doing that well overall. I'm very interested in it. Troy has moved on the Bengals. Dirty Reg says, worry about over and unders. You're wasting your time. I went 3-1 in overs last week. So not only am I wasting my time, Dirty Reg, but I'm counting money while I'm wasting it. I had a
35% ROI last season. This season, I'm over 500 on my over unders, but I expect that to
I love totals. My ROI is higher on totals. I love totals. But Reg, to each their own, my friend. Shout out to Old E gifting 5 Pub Sports Radio memberships. Philip V, JR, the Fix is in. Trisha Monroe and Rory Ransberg grabbing them. Thank you, Old E. And then adding a $10 dono as well. Thank you. Dirty Reg, who is they all say they're winning money, big lie, Dirty Reg. Look, that's the one thing that we can promise you, Dirty Reg. You know, unlike your comments that have no backing whatsoever of they're just, you know, your feelings and thoughts. We put our records out each week with transparency and accountability. So you can write whatever you please with no backing whatsoever. And we will continue to put out not only our record each and every week, year after year after year, and prove our point. Okay, I'm not getting it personal. I'm getting a little personal. You said that they all say they're winning money, big lie. So yeah,
I mean that's what attracted me right here to Jimmy the Bag at Pub Sports Radio, man. It's because he is transparent. He posts all of his action. He's very, very, very comprehensive when it comes to his tracking of his action. That's the only reason that drew my attention right away.
Of course, I'm going to take it personal. Dirty Reg, you just say they all say they're winning money, big lie. Dick, Dirty Reg. How about that? Okay, let's roll on. And thank you to our guy, Old E, with the $10 dono as well. All right, let's roll on to our next spot. Sunday, November 10th, we head to Allianz Arena in Munich, Germany. 44 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 5-mile-per-hour place. Okay, well, how about, you know what, Dirty Reg, you don't care about our plays? Then fuck off.
Wait, I want to see him cap, though. I bet you he brings absolutely zero value.
No, it's fine. If he doesn't care about our plays, just go away. Go away. Don't be involved in this. Simple. Okay, let's get back to work. New York Giants 2-7, Panthers 2-7. Let's get into the line history here right now. Okay. We are sitting here with a total of 41.5 minus 110 to the under. 6-cent move towards the under. On the side, we are sitting here with the Giants minus 5. So we're right back in that spot that appeals to you so much. The difference is that we started here at 4.5. We didn't start at 6.5, so we're not going through the number of 6. But it is appealing range for you. We have a half-point move towards the Giants, and the Giants are juiced to minus 115. Let's get to the cash flow here for a cash flow situation. 69% of the tickets, 73% of the cash on the over 41.5. And 23% of the tickets, 75% of the cash on the New York Giants. So at this point, Carolina Panthers are public, which is very, very difficult to believe. Giants passing offense 23rd in the NFL, 191.4 yards per game. Rushing offense 19th at 114.7 yards per game. Red zone offense last in the league, cashing at 40% of the time. Third down offense 22nd, 36.2% conversion rate. Pass defense for the New York Giants, 9th in the league. They allow 191.6 yards per game. Rush defense 29th at 142.6 yards per game. Red zone defense 5th in the league, 44%. They allow touchdowns 44% of the time. Third down defense 9th at 33.3%. Giants come in off their 4 straight loss, 27-22 loss at home to the Commanders. Giants scored 3 touchdowns after only scoring 1 touchdown their first 4 home games this season. The offense put up 5.5 yards per play. Much better than the 2.2 yards per play the offense put up the last time they were at home in a 28-3 loss to the Eagles. Danny Dimes was 20-26 for 174 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He also ran 7 times for 54 yards and a touchdown. He did lose a fumble. Malik Neighbors got 9 for 59. Tyrone Tracy ran 16 times for 66. They went 8 of 13 on third down and fourth down. 8 of 13 on third and fourth combined, and 2 of 3 in the red zone. The defense had a tough time getting the Commanders off the field. 7 of 14 on third and fourth down. The Commanders went. They did hold them to just 3 of 6 in the red zone. The pass rush that has been such a point of strength for the Giants all year long was very quiet. 0 sacks, 2 quarterback hits. Now, Kayvon Thibodeau remains on IR with the wrist injury. He is eligible to return in week 12. Let's talk about the Carolina Panthers here. Passing offense, 30th in the league, 176.6 yards per game. Rushing offense, 25th, 101.3. You know, both look decent. We still don't know who will be a quarterback at this point. The red zone offense, 8th in the league, 63.6%. That hasn't been a problem. It's third down offense being terrible, 29th in the league at 32.4%. Pass defense, 25th in the league. They allow 232.6 yards per game through the air, and their rush defense is atrocious, 159.3 yards per game. But that's also because they're always playing from behind, and the team with the lead is just playing smash mouth football and trying to run the clock and get out. Red zone defense is horrific, 28th at 69.2%. Third down defense is last in the league at 48.3%. The Panthers come in off a rare victory, 23-22 at home over the Saints. For the first time in 20 career NFL starts, Bryce Young got to line up in victory formation. All the other wins, not all, the other 2 wins, we should say, happened with last-second field goals. The Panthers' victory was such an embarrassment to the Saints that they fired Coach Dennis Allen right after the game. Panthers were outgained by the Saints 427-246 in the victory. Despite the win, Canales won't commit to Young as a starter. We don't know if it's Young or the Red Rifle. Young was 16-26 for 171 yards, touchdown and pick. Jatavian Sanders caught 4 for 87. Chuba Hubbard ran 15 times for 72 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Panthers were a perfect 3 of 3 in the red zone. Now, the defense bent but didn't break. Saints had the ball for 34-19, almost 10 minutes more than the Panthers. Held the Saints to 5 of 15 on third down, 2 of 4 in the red zone. Pass rush finished with just 1 sack, but did have 5 quarterback hits. I don't want the Panthers after that victory. I can understand that they're feeling better about themselves as they get onto the airplane. But then, do you trust a Giants team to win by margin? That's been a mistake I've made this year. It's when there's a bad football team that's better than the other one involved in the game, and I'm expecting it to win by margin, which is not comfortable. Take it away for us here. We have the Munich game, Allianz Arena in Munich, Germany. Troy, take it home.
This game, right off the bat, I got disinterested in capping this game. You got the Panthers coming off a win. And they're lucky to get that win last week. Obviously, it's a fate spot. A bad team coming off a win as a 7-point dog. Then you got the Giants, who are kind of on the other end of that spectrum. They're unlucky not to cover in a sharp trap spot. I would have felt very, very lucky to have cashed that spot if I was on the Commanders, like I probably should have been. But yeah, it just became very, very convoluted after just considering both those points, because looking at this price, this market environment, you look at the sample within this range, right? A road favorite in this range, line is moving towards them. It's not that big of a sample, but I'll tell you what, there's only 2 games that actually fit the profile of these 2 teams. And that would be the Giants actually on the road in Arizona last year, where we know they did not cover. And also the Patriots at New York Giants last year as well. And you know that how that worked out. They didn't cover either. So these bad teams laying points on the road, especially more than a field goal, it just don't make a lot of sense to me. This Giants team is bottom of the barrel. And just the fact that they're laying this big of a number, like at first, initially, I was like, this got to be a Giants spot. I was really trying to get to the Giants, but and on face value, it looks like a Giants spot. When you actually start digging into the sample of the history of this type of market, this type of pricing, you do not want to be on the Giants in this spot. And I thought this would definitely be a Giant spot. It's definitely not. With this rare pricing, this is just so rare that I just don't want nothing to do with this game. This Panthers team and this Giants team are hard to figure out.
My thought was to move on the under in this one. Both rush defenses are horrible. And Tracy's been looking good. Chuba's been looking good. I came close to betting this under, but it was solely based on, the Giants' red zone offense is 32nd in the. Was based on the rushing attack, but if I wanted to add to it, the red zone offense for the Giants is last in the league. The red zone offense for the Panthers is pretty good, but they never get to the red zone. Their third down offense, 29th, horrific. The third down offense for the Giants, 22nd. Now you can't maybe trust the defenses on the other side, but statistically, the Giants' third down defense has been pretty good. I mean, how does this game get to 27-20? I mean, I don't see how it does. The under 41.5, I had my finger on the trigger, and I was like, you know what, I should talk it out first here. And I mean, it's really nice weather in Munich for this game. I mean, a little cold, but no wind and no rain. What do you think about the total in this one?
Yeah, I think, and it's at a very key number. So this is something you'd want to get in tonight because, 4.5% of games land on 41. 4.5% of games land on 40, right? So there's a little bit of an opportunity here to get under before this ticks down. It's definitely moving that way. I would be on the under. I see all under trends, especially home dogs of a touchdown or less. We see all under trends, especially with this low of a total, under the 44, under the 42. I really think the under is the best look in this game.
Yeah, I do too. I expect to get to the window. Newkirk says, how can the Giants give anybody 6 points? I know it's the Panthers, but that's the problem. I could make legitimate arguments for each team, and when I can, I don't want to be involved. Ziggy Balls on the Giants. Saturday says, I guess the Giants pass rush is respectable. The Giants pass rush look great until the last couple weeks or so. It's been a strong point for them. All right, I'm very, very interested in the under. God. I expect to move on this at the end of the show. What were you going to say, my man?
Yeah, I should probably be on the under with you. I probably should. I'm going to look into it a little bit more as we start to cap the next one.
Let's roll on to this next one. 1 p.m. Eastern. New England Patriots 2-7, 1-4 on the road. The Chicago Bears 4-4, 4-0 at home. We're at Soldier Field in Chicago, Illinois. 60 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy. 16-mile-per-hour winds. So the Windy City has not been playing the part all year. On Sunday afternoon, it will be windy. 16 miles per hour, and it doesn't cool down during the game at this point. Now, it is 5 days before kickoff, so you want to keep an eye on it. Let's get into the line history here for this one. Let's get over to Chicago. We have this total at 39. Now, my first thought was to move on the under, but then I was like, you know what? It's exactly at the number I would have placed it at. You could say, I still think that you probably have a little bit of wiggle room, but it wasn't enough for me to bet it before we got to the show. Drake May is a little different than Jacoby Brissett, and we'll break it down a little more, but I don't have the same comfort in unders. I would already be on this under if it was Brissett at quarterback. Let's get into the spread here. These Bears -6. We are moving into the Troy Torrance range because this opened up at -7, and it was a regular VIG 7 as well. And now we have a 6, and it just moved to 6 this afternoon. So we have a 1-point move towards the Patriots. When we get to the cash flow, we have 52% of the tickets, 52% of the cash on the Patriots. We have 88% of the tickets and 80% of cash on the over. I don't know. I mean, other than expecting Drake May to be some sort of a gunslinger, I don't understand why that would be, especially with the 16-mile-per-hour winds. The passing offense for the Patriots, 32nd in the league. It is, a little bit better with Drake May at quarterback than with Jacoby Brissett. Rushing offense, 24th. That rushing offense is just going down. It's getting worse. It looked really bad some of these games over the last month or so. The red zone offense, 19th at 54.6%. Third down offense, 25th at 34.4%. Pass defense, 22nd, 224.6 yards they allow a game. Rush defense, 26th. This defense has been so bad for a while. We've been talking about it on these shows, and that makes it difficult to back them in and under, even if I want to. They're so bad, and I expect them to be much better. Red zone defense, 17th in the league. They allow touchdowns 57.6% of the time. Third down defense, 28th. They allow conversions 45.5% of the time. Patriots come in off a 2017 overtime loss at Tennessee, outgained 400 to 295 in the loss. But Drake May was 29 to 41 for 206 yards, touchdown, 2 picks. He ran 8 times for 95 yards, and he did fumble twice. He only lost one of them, but that was their entire running game. Ramondre Stevenson ran 10 times for 16 yards. He did score a touchdown, but he did nothing on the ground. JaMychal Hasty and Antonio Gibson combined for just 2 carries for -1 yard. The game-tying touchdown with no time left on the clock, must excite fans for what they're going to see with Drake May leading the team. He took 11.82 seconds to find Stevenson in the end zone. That's the second longest time to throw on any touchdown pass since 2016. When the NFL started using the next-gen stats. Only Jaden Daniels, game winner for Washington against Chicago 2 weeks ago, was longer at 12.7 seconds. Hunter Henry caught 7 for 56. Kendrick Bourne caught 4 for 41, but 3 for 11 on third down. Now, they did go 2 for 2 in the red zone, and I don't believe in the red zone stats of the Patriots because it's so different with Drake May there than Jacoby Brissett. but the defense bent but didn't break. But I mean, how do you let the Titans have the ball for 38 minutes and 44 seconds of a football game? And I know that Tony Pollard is their only, Calvin Ridley is capable, but Tony Pollard's the only Titans offense, really. But still, how do you allow that? Patriots held the Titans to 2 of 5 in the red zone. I mean, look, it's Mason Rudolph, a quarterback. Of course, he's not cashing red zone opportunities. And this pass rush being missing in action. 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits. Jelani Tavai had an interception. And Kyle Duggars missed 2 straight games with an ankle injury. He's listed as questionable to return this week. It doesn't correlate enough for me to have already bet under, even if I kind of like it. The stats just don't follow through. Let's talk about the Bears coming off that ugly 29-9 loss at Arizona, not showing any character after the heartbreaking loss the week before to the Commanders. Passing offense 29th in the league, 182.9 yards per game. Rushing offense 23rd, 111.8. Red zone offense 4th at 65%. Caleb's look good there. But their third down offense, second worst in the league. If you read the Bears stats, it works for the under. Are the Bears going to control the momentum? Are they going to control everything, control the pace in this game? If they are, then their pass defense, 8th in the league, 191.3 yards per game. Now, it is where they are dealing with a ton of injuries, and we're going to go over them. But, their nickelback, Kyler Gordon, out with the hamstring, and Jaquan Brisker still out with the concussion. They played without 4 starters. They didn't have left tackle Braxton Jones. They didn't have defensive end Montez Sweat. You take Montez Sweat, Kyler Gordon, and Jaquan Brisker out of that lineup, do you still trust, what you're seeing from these stats? Caleb Williams. So their third down defense, 8th, red zone defense, 3rd, very strong. But Caleb Williams is 22 of 41 for 217 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Odunze caught 5 for 104. Keenan Allen was next with 4 for 36. DeAndre Swift ran 16 times for 51 yards, caught 6 for 31. But I don't really believe in him in a game where the wind is 16 miles per hour and you have to move the ball on the ground. Now, Caleb Williams can help. But this offense produced 3.4 yards per play. They were 3 of 14 on third down. They failed in their lone red zone attempt. The defense couldn't stop the Cardinals on the ground. Now, you don't need to worry about that against New England, but Arizona had 213 rushing yards and 6.1 yards per play on the ground. Pass rush, 3 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. So you also had Darnell Wright leave the game with a knee injury. It looks like he's going to be okay. Defensive tackle Andrew Billings left with a chest injury, and cornerback Terrell Smith with an ankle injury here. So it's a mess. And I said Darnell Wright. I meant to say Darnell Smith. I think I'm mixing sports here. But Smith suffered an MCL sprain, and he's not going to be playing this week. Take it away. These are your Chicago Bears, Patriots Bears. Take it away.
This is another one, man. It's heading down. It's creeping down right into my range. I really believe, and take this with a grain of salt, because it's not just about the quarterback himself. It's about the environment he's placed in and the situation. Drake May is a better quarterback in this matchup than Caleb Williams. Now, there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of variables that play into that, but that's how I see it right now. There's obviously something broken with this Bears team. It's just cancerous. It's just terrible environment for this team. The coaching is so bad. They're calling for Eberflus to be fired. I thought it should have happened prior to the season. Unfortunately, he's probably going to give enough rope to hang himself for the rest of the season, because firing him now really does you no good. Who are you going to replace him with? You're just going to replace that next coach when the offseason comes. So you really can't do nothing. Their hands are tied. They're stuck with Eberflus for the rest of the season. And there's no way I'm going to trust the Bears as this big of a favorite. Last week, their run defense got exposed. Now, I do think part of that is some of the secondary tackling that we're not seeing. Jaquan Brisker, Kyler Gordon, a lot of the pieces that made this defense so great, the secondary have been out. I do think they come back this week. I think that's reflected in this line. The Bears are laying a full touchdown or 6 points. I just don't make any sense without, that's telling me that these guys are going to be playing Jaquan Brisker, Kyler Gordon. I think Terrell Smith probably over Tyreek Stevenson after what I've seen on film. I thought that kid was pretty good. But here's the thing, the run defense got exposed, but this Patriots team is not the team to be able to expose that, right? So you're going to be talking about Drake May dropping back against this Bears secondary, maybe not at full strength because maybe these guys are a little bit beat up, right? Be a little bit conservative with the projection, but still Drake May is not going to be very successful throwing the ball, but he has his legs and he uses them very effectively. And the fact of the matter is just the Bears are just not in good shape. And mentality is everything. Mentality is everything in the game of football, in the game of life. If your mentality ain't right, you ain't right. And that's perfectly displayed by DJ Moore, who Saturated was talking about, walking off the field in the middle of a play. It's like he just got fed up. He ran a route. He wanted the ball. He didn't get the ball. Instead of continuing the play, trying to get open, finding a spot, finding a valve for his quarterback to unleash to him, he just walks off the field, goes sits on the bench before the play's even over. That's unacceptable. But here's the thing: is like, I know we want to put his heels to the fire right away. But here's the thing: let's walk a mile in his shoes. We got a great receiver who's open, a quarterback who's not currently making the throws to get him the ball, especially downfield, where he just wants the ball to be put on his head to give him a chance to make a play. He's not even given a chance to make that play. And then you got Waldron, you got Eberflus, who are running the show, and there's no way he could be excited about that after what we've seen. So I don't think that I don't want to hold DJ Moore, less liable than the coaching staff. I think it really starts with the coaching staff. But there's only one way to look in this game, especially with this line movement, especially with I think that this number, if it ticks below this, it's just going to be like I'm going to treat it like every other spot that does this. I'll be on the Patriots +6, +5.5, and the money line. If we start to see this tick below the 6, I'm going to make the move. I'm not moving yet because this number is strong. I mean, I'm going to admit, I think the number at 6 was extremely strong. My first instinct was to fade the Bears in this situation. Then you start looking at the sample of this type of history, and it's you don't see it very often. This is rare, a rare situation. So I'm looking towards the Patriots only in this spot.
I can understand the Patriots only, but it's just it's not the sell high opportunity that you're getting on Thursday night with the Ravens, which I've been sitting now with for like 15 or 20 minutes and want to join you because it's a sell high opportunity. The Bears look demoralized. There's no question about it. But I don't know that for a fact. Like, I'm just not in the room and
the effort's not there. The effort is absolutely not there. You're probably caught up in the Rams action during this game, Jim. The effort is not there. I went back and rewatched. Guys are giving up mid-play. They're not finishing, man. They're not hungry like they used to be. Something's wrong. It's a problem.
And you don't think a home game could
where
fix
Caleb
that?
Looked comfortable, extremely comfortable. A home game, that's been the secret sauce so far this season. Maybe it is. It's just not worth betting on, in my opinion, because of the cancer.
I do not want the Bears. I just don't think I fade them because here, if we're 3 games in and if I move on the Bengals and move on the under in Munich, I'm going to let this one pass here. And also, I can't trust the under if I can't trust effort. Now, you could say the defense has always shown effort, but right now I would need to know who is healthy in this lineup. Are we getting Brisker back? Do you have any insight on Brisker? Because he's the one I want the most, even more than Kyler Gordon.
I know he has more. Kyler Gordon's back. I feel like he's going to be playing. My dad, who follows this team much closer than I, is saying Brisker is going to be back this week, and I trust the man when it comes to Chicago sports.
Okay, well, there's going to be nothing for me at this point. You have not moved on the Patriots at this point.
No, this is one I need to see. Like, I need confirmation we're closing below the 6. So this might be up until last minute, before noon.
All right, let's roll on. 1 p.m. Eastern, we have the Buffalo Bills 7-2, 3-2 on the road. The Indianapolis Colts 4-5, 3-1 at home at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have Indianapolis +4. This opened up at 4.5. As you know, and as I mentioned to you, our friend Birdie very high on the Indianapolis Colts in this spot. The 4.5 is gone. I could have moved on it immediately. And I should have, but I do have some concerns with what I saw last week. And I know that each week is a new series of events, but I did have some concern. And I will talk to you guys about what Birdie sent me, why he's so confident in the Colts. So this opened up with the Colts +4.5. They're now +4. When we get to the total here in this one, from a total perspective, We have this at 45.5. So this has dropped from 46.5. Now it is heavily juiced to the over 45.5, so it's kind of a 46. It is a 46. Let's get to the cash flow here for this one. We have the no help from the Action Network on the total. They're going to come in on the, and if we're
I probably have some cash flow on the total. Do you need that, Jim?
Yeah, because, and I'll also tell you what they are telling us. The only thing they're telling us is on the spread that 8% of the tickets are on the Colts and 1% of the cash. What do you have for both total and side?
For spread, I have 86% of bets, 99% of cash is on the Buffalo Bills. On the total, I have 72% of tickets, 51% of cash is on the over.
Yeah, and this will make sense, JRTG, when he talks about it here. But it does also fall into a spot that Troy's talked about as well. So I did want to talk it out before I move. So here we go. We're at Lucas Oil Stadium. Let's talk about the Bills first. Their passing offense 16th in the league, 216.1 yards per game. We know they're capable of more. Rushing offense 17th at 119.1 yards per game. Their red zone offense 6th in the league. They score touchdowns 64.1% of the time. And their third down offense, they convert 38.2% of the time. Pass defense 16th. Rush defense 15th. Their red zone defense has been great, allowing touchdowns at 46.9% of the time, but third down defense 21st. It's kind of mediocre stats, honestly. But we know that they have Josh Allen at quarterback, which makes them very, very tough. They're coming off a 30-27 win at home over the Dolphins. 4-game lead now in the AFC East, going for their 5th division title in a row. Tyler Bass kicked a 61-yard field goal. That's a franchise record by 2 yards. Steve Christie held the previous 59-yard in 1993. He'd had some misses throughout the season, and they've questioned him at times. It was a big one for him. They were outgained 373-325 by the Dolphins. Allen was 25-39 for 235 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Amari Cooper out with the left wrist injury. Ray Davis led the team with 2 receptions for 70 yards and a touchdown. And Cooper was limited through 3 practices last week. He's listed as questionable this week. And there's a real good chance he doesn't go, and I'll explain why here in a bit. Khalil Shakir caught 6 for 50. James Cook ran 10 times for 44 yards, caught 6 passes for 50 yards, 5 of 10 on third down, but just 2 of 5 in the red zone. The defense looked vulnerable in this football game. Dolphins put up 6.2 yards per play, went 5 of 9 on third and fourth down. Dolphins were 3 of 4 in the red zone. Bills pass rush was invisible. 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits, and they lost Dwayne Smoot to a wrist injury. He's already undergone the wrist surgery. Underwent the surgery yesterday, so he's out for the season. They don't have a lot of depth defensive end here this year. Let's talk about the Colts. Passing offense 22nd, 193.7 yards per game. Rushing offense 16th. Red zone offense 20th at 53.9%. Third down offense 21st, 36.6%. Their statistical breakdown of their defense is really weak. But watching them, you can see that they're getting stronger and stronger. We'll go over their numbers. Markel in the house, Drewski, great to see you guys. Big O, thank you guys for joining us. Nate Dogg, 420. Pass defense 26th in the league. They allow 233.8 yards per game. Rush defense 31st, 149.8. Red zone defense 17th, allowing touchdowns 57.6% of the time. And third down defense 24th, 43.7. But watching them, it's a different story, especially with Buckner back and Kenny Moore and Kwity Paye were out for a while, but we'll go over here. Colts coming off a 21-13 loss in Minnesota. It was the first game all season that wasn't decided by 6 points or less. These Colts have been playing in tight football games. They were dominated, though. They were outgained 415 to 227. Flacco did not look good in his first game since replacing Anthony Richardson as QB1. 16-27 for 166 yards and an interception. Also lost a fumble. Josh Downs led receivers with 6 catches for 60 yards. Jonathan Taylor ran 13 for 48, caught 3 for 11. The Colts did not run a single play in the red zone. The Vikings made 5 different appearances in the red zone. They scored touchdowns 3 times. The defense was strong and kept the Colts in the game. They bent but didn't break. Yes, they allowed 415 yards, but they held the Vikings to 21 points. Now you could say all 21 game in the second half when the game was on the line. That's valid. They allowed the Vikings to go 7 of 13 on third and fourth down, which helped them dominate time of possession, 36-54 to 23-06. Pass rush finished with 4 sacks and 7 quarterback hits. Nick Cross and Zaire Franklin each had interceptions. And left tackle Bernard Raymond was held out because of a concussion protocol. We don't know if he comes back in here. So this is what Birdie sent to me. Bills are 1-11 against the spread in weeks 9 and 10 the last 5 years. 1-11 against spread. In Week 10 specifically, they're 1-4 straight up and 0-5 against the spread in the last 5 years. He says that's relevant because we have continuity with the head coach and the quarterback. Bills are coming off a walk-off field goal versus a divisional opponent, and who do they have on deck next week? Kansas City Chiefs. He says he doesn't think he's loved the spot more than this one with the Colts all season. But he thought this number was going to go up. It is not. It has gone down. Take it away for us here, Troy. Bills, Colts.
Wow. Yeah, Birdie's got me scrambling a little bit because I really do respect, what Birdie's put together and just his whole process. So it's really hard to be as bullish as I am on this Bills team, and I'm going to get to why. And it is a really tough game to try to figure out until this market's fully mature for me personally. Obviously, the Bills coming off an emotional divisional win against their rival, and the Colts coming off another tough loss on prime time, and they're dealing with a short week. The travel is not an easy situation for them to deal with, and obviously the Colts are the sharp side in this matchup. And in this price range, that's what I like to see if I'm looking to back the Bills. My belief has completely faded with this team. With the Colts team. Everybody knew how bullish I was on Shane Steichen and this whole team. But the QB situation, it's still a head scratcher after watching Flacco in Minnesota. They want to make the playoffs, but in that game, after watching it play out, I thought that Flacco was the wrong decision. I feel like basically Anthony Richard would have fared out better. But the problem is AR doesn't use his legs appropriately. I don't know what it is. You could see him scrambling around looking for guys downfield, making high variant throws down the field instead of just picking up 5 to 10, maybe even more yards with his legs. I don't know if that's a fair of being injured, but that definitely held him back when he started so far this season. But watching Flacco, he was just out of sorts, could not handle the pressure, could not handle the blitz. He was a little bit confused. The defense has actually been the strong suit for this team, which has really been a surprise after what we've seen the first few weeks. The defensive front with Buckner back, they've been showing up 2 weeks in a row. They're collapsing pockets. That's definitely true. And they've been playing with more disguise. They play cover 3. You see them rolling into the cover 3, mixing in some man-to-man, mixing in some two-man under. And it's a beautiful thing because it's definitely paid its dividends out defensively. But to me, this whole thing about my bullishness fading with the Colts, it's with Steichen. Something's wrong with this guy, man. His inability to call plays that cater towards his quarterback and his situation. This has happened 2 weeks in a row. I've watched every single snap of this team. He consistently puts his offense in bad situations. At this point, he's not to be trusted, and that's my problem with backing the Colts in this spot. With the QB and the coaching situation and the market, which is shaping up to be a sharp trap, there's only one way I thought I could look, especially before I heard Birdie's bullishness on the Colts. They're obviously the sharp side. I would quantify this as a sharp trap, in my opinion. And here, I'll give you the numbers. Home dogs between 3 and 4 over the past 3 seasons are 30 and 47 ATS. That's 39%. This gets even worse, down to 32% if the total is greater than 43. And if the game is a non-divisional game, the road team is now 21 and 8, 72% ATS, 25 and 6 straight up. That's 81%. Even if the market's moving towards the home team, it doesn't make a difference in some of those manipulations. It even gets stronger for the road team, which is hence why it's a sharp trap. I really have to be Bills or pass. It's just where I have to be. This is my model so strong in favor of the Bills that I cannot be on the Colts in this spot. And then, watch what happened at with the quarterback position and watching Steichen fumble the bag consistently. I just cannot do it. I also think the under is the right play in this game. I was texting you about this, Jim. The Colts are incapable of putting up points. I do not think they're going to be successful in the red zone at all. I don't project them to, have favorable regression in that standpoint either. The Colts defense is uptrending in a significant manner, and the Bills have gone under this number in every road game this season. I think we see a lot of field goals in this game and not a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'd like just to go over the Bills games on the road, compare them indoor and outdoor. I don't know if I should have done this on my own time, but
No, let's do it. Let's
they
do it.
smash and grab the Dolphins 31-10, get crushed by the Ravens. So then at the Texans, there we're talking Energy Stadium. So we got indoor there 23-20. Beat the Jets outside 23-20. Beat up on the Seahawks outside 31-10. So they've had the one game sample size where they didn't do it up indoors. Yeah, I think that.
The one there. I mean, these games are hard to look at on the road because 3 of them were in prime time.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all of them were under the number of 3. We're looking at a 4 right now, right? And the only game that even nears this is the Seahawks game with the total, considering the total as well. And it was a 21-point blowout. I don't know.
I just don't trust the Bills' defense enough.
How about this? The Bills on the road, total moving towards the under, which it has, at least the book I'm looking at, it has.
Yeah,
the total moving to the under.
Oh, looks like we lost Oh, there we go. Troy, sorry, you cut out for a second. Hit me with that again.
Oh, my bad. I was asking you. You have the total moving towards the under, correct?
Yeah.
Bills on the road this season, total moving to the under. Both games they played were 21-point games. They beat the Dolphins and the Seahawks. I don't know, man. I don't want to talk my guys off a good Colts bet, good home dog. But I'm telling you, man, this is just fucking tough, man. It's tough. The bullishness of Birdie is really keeping me, because I wanted to say, I moved to the total. I shifted away, but this, to me, I was hoping this would get down to a 3.5. I'll buy the Bills at that, and I'll put them in a money line parlay, and I'll feel confident in it. But I can't do that no more because how bullish my guy Birdie is.
Yes. Again, he closed with. I don't think I've loved the spot more than this one with the Colts, more than anything all season. So. Well, this is going to take more time, obviously. Sharp trap, are you in that realm? Do you think that Birdie's right, that this is a very sharp look? It's going to take time. I do think that the under is the right play. I guess when it comes down to it, I do think that the under is the right spot. I think this Colts defense is much better than the statistics prove it, or the numbers say it is. And I think that the Bills defense is kind of average. They just have a spectacular quarterback. But
average will work out pretty damn good against this Colts offense. I mean, you stop the run, the run, and they weren't able to do that against Miami. I guess that's a concern, but I don't know. It's just we've not seen competence out of the quarterback's position,
and we have issues with the Bills' front seven. Dealing with injuries, lack of depth. Okay, well, I'm interested in the under. It's already moved down a point. This has moved a half point towards the Colts. I could already be here with them at 4.5, but I had some trepidation. We roll on. Next up for us, 1 p.m. Eastern, Denver Broncos 5-4, 3-2 on the road to the Kansas City Chiefs. We're at Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, Missouri. Of course, the Chiefs now 8-0, 60 Fahrenheit, mostly sunny, 10-mile-per-hour winds in Kansas City, Missouri. Let's get into the total. This is 41.5. 41.5, a little lower than one might expect. It opened right here at a pick'em. There's been a 1 cent move to the under. That's it. Just a 1 cent move towards the under. On the spread here, we have this with the Chiefs -8, -106. It has not moved since it's become available. Then we get to the cash flow here. They're giving us no. I'm going to need you. Their action's giving me nothing here on the spread. Let's see if I go to all markets and see if they'll give me something. No, they're only giving me information on the total. 85% of the tickets, 87% of the cash on the over, and it's a low number. There's no doubt about it. It is a low number. Do you have the cash info on the spread?
I do. 52% of bets, 61% of cash is on the Denver Broncos.
Interesting. Broncos passing offense, 27th in the league, 187.1 yards per game. Rushing offense, 15th at 121.4. Red zone offense, 21st, 53.3%. Third down offense, 27th, 33.6%. Their defense is strong. Pass defense, 6th in the league, 186.6 yards per game they allow. Rush defense, 9th at 108.7. Red zone defense, 8th at 47.8%. Third down defense, 16th. They allow conversions 36.8% of the time. They come in off an ugly 41-10 loss at Baltimore. We were all over it. Bo Nix was 19 of 33 for 223 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. You know, it's hard for me to bet a favorite at that big of a price. I got to get over it. People make a lot of money on those spots. And so I got to get over it. It's very, very difficult. It was difficult for me to place the bet last week on the Ravens. Cortland Sutton caught 7 for 122 yards. He also threw a touchdown pass to Bo Nix on a trick play. I have a thing when I see a team use a trick play in the first quarter that works, I immediately bet against them. I immediately think that they have no hope with their regular action. And it's hugely successful. Now, you shouldn't blanket statements. You shouldn't go, it's not, but it works. It's uncanny. The ROI is uncanny in it. If you see an early trick play that works, bet against them. It's just cashes. Javonte Williams ran 12 times, 42 yards, caught 2 for 42. Broncos went 6 of 14 on third down, but just 1 of 5 on fourth down. They were also held to 1 of 4 in the red zone. Saturate says, where's that come from? There's nothing. This is just me making money. It's worked it just works nonstop. You keep an eye on it if you want, however you want to handle it. Denver's defense had allowed only 2 teams to reach 20 points this year before they got ganked by the Ravens for 41. Ravens put up 7.3 yards per play against them and went 4 of 6 in the red zone. I mean, psychologically, you can understand Saturated. If a team needs to pull out a trick play that early, there's a problem with their offense. They're not saving it for the right time. They're using it in the first quarter. They're concerned that they can't create big plays, but I'll go back to this. Broncos pass rush was invisible. 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit. They traded Baron Browning to the Cardinals for a 6th-round pick, and they signed outside linebacker Jonathan Cooper to a 4-year extension. So $60 million, $33 million in guarantees. Cooper, 5.5 sacks this season. He led the team with 8.5 sacks a year ago. He was in the final year of a 4-year, $3.58 million deal. He signed as a rookie. Browning was his college teammate. Cooper went in the 7th round. Browning went in the 3rd round. Now Cooper went, much later. Now Cooper's the man. Let's get into the Chiefs. Passing offense, 10th in the league, 230.1 yards per game. Rushing offense, 14th, 122.4. Red zone offense, 12th, 58.1. Third down offense, 1st. And their third down ability is just uncanny, and it's Patrick Mahomes. 53.2% of the time they convert. Passing defense, 15th, 209.8. Rush defense, 3rd. They allow 83.9 yards per game on the ground. Their red zone defense, 13th, 53.9%. Their third down defense, 15th at 36.2%. The Chiefs come in off a short week after defeating the Buccaneers 30-24 in overtime. 14th straight win dating back to last season. They've won 8 straight games when trailing in the second half, including the postseason. They outgained the Bucs 384 to 284. A lot of that was that final drive in overtime. Mahomes at 34 of 44 for 291 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Travis Kelce caught 14 for 100 yards. I don't like that. I knew when Rashee Rice got hurt and Pacheco and no Hollywood Brown that he would become a bigger part of the offense. Again, I've got 500 on the under 850. I didn't like him going for 100. DeAndre Hopkins got 8 for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt, 27 carries for 106 yards, touchdown, caught 11-yard pass. He looks amazing. They went 13 of 19 on 3rd and 4th down, and that allowed them to dominate time of possession. They had the ball for 40 minutes, 42 seconds. A perfect 4-4 in the red zone. That's a D-Hop addition, big part, a huge part having D-Hop in there. That's not something they've been very good at for the last couple of years, even though, of course, they're going for their 3rd straight and a Super Bowl championship, which no team has ever done in NFL history. The defense looked vulnerable at times, which has been a rarity this year. With the game on the line, that was a pretty easy drive. The Buccaneers went the length of the field and tied the game with a touchdown. The Bucs were also a perfect 3 of 3 in the red zone. Pass rush finished with 2 sacks and 4 quarterback hits. Take it away for us here, Troy. Broncos, Chiefs at Arrowhead.
Yeah, everybody should know my sentiment towards this Chiefs team at this point. last week. I faded both these teams with confidence. We had Bo traveling across country against the best offense in the NFL, who are also off a loss. I touched on it earlier. That's not the same case this week. The Chiefs have nowhere near the offensive firepower that the Ravens do, and we could see that by the spread moving down so quickly. As soon as the lines or as soon as the max bets or the limits increased, right? We've seen this line start ticking down slowly, and I think it continues to go in that direction. Yes, the Chiefs' defense is solid, but completely locked down like people are led on to believe. I don't know if that's the truth. After what we've seen, a couple of these teams like Tampa Bay was able to move the ball without any real firepower. Now the Bucs offensive line is turning out to be elite this season. I think this is pretty easy for me, Jim. I'm not going to get too elaborate. This Chiefs team is a team we want to fade. They're priced like the best team in the NFL. Luckily, they continue to win, so we continue to get value on the spread. When they perform more along the lines of an average NFL team, I mean, week in and week out, this team is approximately average. Call me biased. I'm just telling you what I see. The spread should be between 6 and 7. I see value on the Broncos. The Chiefs are on a short week, and I trust the Broncos defense to give this KC offense some trouble. They weren't able to do so against Baltimore, but these are completely different offenses. You're not going to see – it's just a completely different equation. I mean, we can go down every element of both teams' offensive and how they want to attack the defense is completely different. 2 years ago, the Chiefs laid 13.5. Last year, it came down to 10.5. Now we're looking at an 8.5, and it's continuing to move. I'm on the Broncos plus 8.5, and I feel comfortable with it.
Broncos plus 8.5. Were you surprised to see this total at 41.5?
Yeah, because the Chiefs don't really get totals like that at home. This low of totals. This would be the second lowest total. The last total this low was last year against the Raiders. Chiefs. Chiefs lost 20-14 as 11-point favorites.
What was the juice you got on the 8.5?
Let me pull up my document here. Broncos 8.5 minus 110. Is it available still? Because I did not post this one. It is 8.5 minus 110 at FanDuel.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting look. It's certainly a buy low spot on the Broncos, a sell high spot on the Chiefs, who are getting back-to-back road games for the Broncos in difficult environments. We'll read.
How comfortable is this Chiefs team right now? How comfortable did they look yesterday just to get that win, get out of there, stay undefeated? Man, the chickens are coming home to roost this week.
It's a wildly interesting move.
You're on the opposite side of me. I mean, I hate this team. I hate the Kansas City Chiefs. I feel like you like them, Jim. You like this team.
I enjoy watching them play football very much. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how was that game not exciting?
Yeah,
how much money did we make too? We cashed both of our live bets. We cashed the over. I did screw up the first half under, which took some money away, but I mean, I find the Chiefs are a predictable football team. That's what we're looking for in sports, is the predictability factor. You have a superstar quarterback and a brilliant coach. I mean, I just think it's extremely enjoyable. But I had to get over my jealousy and my hatred for what they've done to the 49ers over the last few years, and I was able to do that because I'm with you. I mean, how are they 8-0, Troy? There's something special about the group that they can keep winning these close games.
Don't get me started, Jim. Don't get me down this rabbit hole because the election's happening tonight. You don't know where I'll turn. You don't know which route I'll take.
Kevin Garrett's was having a man's see Williams wrestling. Oh God, I had to move on quickly. Let's move on quickly. Let's go on. I get why you're on the Broncos plus 8.5. I'm going to need a little bit more time on it. We roll on 1 p.m. Eastern. Atlanta Falcons 6-3, 3-0 on the road. New Orleans Saints 2-7, 1-3 at home. Caesar Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. Let's get to work here. Obviously, big news: Dennis Allen canned, fired. And I kind of, it's funny with Carr. So if we want to go back with Derek Carr, Dennis Allen's been fired as a head coach midseason before. It was in 2014, and his quarterback was Derek Carr. So it's happened again. And Thomas ripped him to shreds. And I always kind of like when Carr is in the media because he's so emotional. We've seen him break down multiple times, and he just, I kind of liked his reply about it all. But problems, obviously, in New Orleans. We have Atlanta, though, -3, -116. They opened up -3, -109. This got up to -124. Not a very big spread. Now, the look ahead was -1 and +1 for the Saints. So you could say, it's moved from the look ahead, but still not a big spread here. We know Lattimore is being traded off to the Commanders. This total at 46.5. It is juiced to the under. This opened up at 48. So it's a pretty big move to the under. And it's heavily juiced to the under. So a legit move to the under. Let's get to the cash flow here. See if Action can do a little better here. And they can't. I'm going to need help on the total. On the side, though, 86% of the tickets and 91% of the cash on the Falcons. What do you have for the total for cash information?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. The total, 77% of bets, 65% of cash is on the over. It's crazy looking at all these all the metrics with the cash flow. And what'd you have? I just want to make sure we're usually we're tit for tat. Our numbers match up. What'd you have on the spread?
I have 86% of the tickets and 91% of the cash on the Falcons.
Yeah, interesting that you can't see the total move, the total cash flow. 77% of bets on the over, 65% of cash on the over. And I want to say that it was about maybe 6 months ago where we don't see the fluctuating, we see all the action on the over pretty much every game. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, we've been seeing.
And that's not just NFL. I'm saying 6 months ago because that extends back into the MLB and even towards the end of the NBA season and the playoffs. I mean, it's
yeah. And we see it in the NHL as well. So, yeah, it's just over bettors are flooding the market now that it's legalized and more rec gamblers are able to get their action in. Let's roll, though. Let's set this one up. Falcons passing offense now 6th in the league, 246.3 yards per game. Rushing offense 18th, 118.4. Red zone offense 13th, 57.1. Third down offense 15th, 38.5%. Pass defense 20th. They allow 218.3 yards per game. Rush defense 23rd, allowing 133.1 yards per game. The red zone defense 19th, 58.6%. Their third down defense is 29th in the league, 46.2%. They have a bad defense. Easy to say that here. But we did see a pass rush for the first time this past week. We'll get into that. Falcons coming off their 5th win in 6 games, 27-21 at home over the Cowboys. They were outgained 378-310 in the victory. Kirk Cousins stepped up 19-24 for 222 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He also fumbled twice, losing one of them. Darnell Mooney led receivers with 5 catches for 88 yards and a touchdown. Drake London left the game early with the right hip injury. Raheem Morris says he's fine day to day. It's a pain tolerance issue. So it's a hip pointer. Maybe Troy can talk about it more because he's probably experienced it. So why don't we start there? A hip pointer for Drake London. Do you think he plays?
It's a divisional game. It's a very how important is this game to this Falcons team at this point? That's what we should measure because you could play with the hip pointer. Now there's different severities of hip pointers. I don't know. I would have to look more into it. I was under the expectation that he was truly a 50-50 come game time.
I was under the impression that he was going to play. So, we'll have to wait and see, especially with tomorrow's injury report. But you can imagine he's going to be limited tomorrow here. So, Bijan Robinson, 19 carries for 86 yards, caught 7 for 59. Falcons were 4-13 on third down, but they were perfect 3 for 3 in the red zone. We've been seeing that lately. Their red zone numbers have been improving. The defense was strong. They held the Cowboys to 3 of 13 on third down. Now, the Cowboys did go 2 of 3 in the red zone. But the pass rush got pressured for the first time all season. 3 sacks, 8 quarterback hits. They came into the game with an NFL worst 6 sacks through 8 weeks. Caden Ellis was a monster. 13 tackles, a sack, a stop in the backfield on CeeDee Lamb with that ridiculous 4th down sweep. Defensive lineman Grady Jarrett left the game with an Achilles strain. He has told reporters that he's day-to-day. Said the MRI was good. Linebacker Troy Anderson missed his 5th straight game with a knee injury, and center Drew Dalman now has missed 6 games in a row with an ankle injury. So tomorrow's injury report is important. Let's get into the Saints. So Their passing offense 18th, 206.1 yards per game. Rushing offense 13th. Kamara coming off a huge game. They get 125.3 yards per game on the ground. Their red zone offense 5th, 64.3%. Third down offense 18th, 38.1%. Their defense is being a problem. Pass defense 27th, 239.9 yards per game through the air, and they just traded Lattimore to the Commanders. Rush defense 25th, 136.6. Red zone defense 9th at 50%. Third down defense 19th, allowing conversions 38.1% of the time. The Saints coming off their 7th straight loss. Ugly 23-22 setback at Carolina. It was the final straw for Gail Benson, Saints owner, and he fires Dennis Allen. So in comes Darren Rizzi. This is not easy. We've seen it with the Jets. You're going to bring in an assistant head coach and a special teams coordinator. You have a very young offensive coordinator in Kubiak. It's tough. It's a really difficult situation. Carr was 18 of 31 for 236 yards and a touchdown. Kamara ran 29 times for 155 yards and caught 6 for 60. Taysom Hill ran 5 times for 19 yards and a touchdown, caught 4 passes for 41 yards. Juwan Johnson caught 2 for 41. The Saints were 2 of 4 in the red zone and were just 5 of 15 on third down. So it doesn't help, obviously, with Chris Olave suffering another concussion. It was in the first quarter, taken to the hospital for observation. He was discharged and went home with the team. But the Saints did outgain the Panthers 421 to 246. They dominated time of possession, dominated 34-19 to 25-41. The red zone defense had been so good all year, allowed the Panthers to go 3 of 3. Pass rush, 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits. Shamar Jean-Charles had an interception. But here is the biggest issue for me. Lucas Patrick left in the second half with a calf injury. So he's their third string center because Eric McCoy, of course, all of this problem started in week 3 against the Eagles when he went down in the first series. So him and Shane Lemieux are both on IR. Now Lemieux has been designated to return from injured reserve. And that's a huge part here. Because if Lucas Patrick can't play with the calf injury, then they need Shane Lemieux at center. Now, he's not even a regular center, but he is a backup center for McCoy. So it's not going to be easy if they have 3 centers out. It's a very important thing to keep an eye on. We love backing teams off of having their coach fired. But football is so different because, it's chess and violence. It's a very, very complicated sport. It's not like NHL, which is pretty simple. When a new coach comes in, the work ethic improves and that team usually steps up. But this is different. Take it away, Troy. Want to hear your thoughts. Falcons, Saints, Caesar Superdome.
Wow. I couldn't have put it more candidly. I've never heard it put like that before. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing right there, Jimmy. It's like football's like chess and violence. In what world do those 2 elements combine into one? It's every Sunday on the gridiron. That's what makes it such a beautiful sport.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to lie, man. I'll get into it. I mean, we're looking at a home dog between 3 and 3.5. There's only one way to look in this situation. I don't care how sharp it is. And obviously, like this, before I built the database and I actually started watching how these teams are priced, especially in division, this doesn't make it any better that this team is in division in this matchup. That just makes it worse, quite frankly. The Atlanta offense is starting to come together. They're coming on strong. PFF has them rated 3rd overall. Their offensive line are some juggernauts, especially in the running game. And the improvement came with Kirk Cousins as he developed. He got a little bit healthier, and they started to use play action at a much higher rate. And that's just started recently happening over the past 3 weeks. So it wasn't even on the table. He was the lowest by far. He's still very low on the charts in terms of play action usage, in terms of play action drop back percentage. But he's climbing up the chart, and they need that to be part of the offense. And like I said, Kirk Cousins, he's gaining ground on that injury, and you could see that in the way he's able to play. When you have if you have a close game late in the game, Kirk Cousins is a guy you want to be on his side. And the Atlanta defense has continued to proven to be below average. Troy Anderson, Jim, I missed it. I had to run out of the room real quick. What's Troy Anderson's situation?
We need to get a better idea tomorrow, but there's nothing giving you an idea that he will be in at this point. But again, we need to wait for the Wednesday injury report, but nothing at all to make you think he'll be there.
Man, That's tough because there's such a huge discrepancy in the numbers. When you look at the Atlanta defense with and without Troy Anderson, it's night and day. And we talk about this defense every week. They can't get pressure. They're bend but don't break. And when you can't get pressure and you're bend but don't break, there's really no upside to your defensive scheme. And hopefully something changes. I don't know what the options are for this Atlanta team. And last time we seen these two teams meet, they only ran the ball 15 times, but they ran it for 6 yards per carry. Like, how do you only run the ball 15 times? Your two running backs run it 15 times for 6 yards. Like, wouldn't you want to stick with that? It was a pretty close game, too. I was in Cleveland for this matchup. I missed Bankroll Blitz this week. I couldn't believe what I had seen from this offense after seeing how much line yards they were generating, but they refused to go back to the ground. I think we see a different offense over the past few weeks. I think they are leaning heavier on the ground, and they're incorporating play action at a much higher rate, and it's a much higher rate from an extremely low percentage. So take it for what it is. And we know that's where the Saints team is extremely weak, is in the run game. They're light in the pants, and that's where the Falcons could succeed. I don't know what to expect, from this Saints team, because last time these two teams matched up, Olave and Shaheed combined for 21 targets, 170 yards. Obviously, those two are not going to be on the table. They're not available this game. They fired Dennis. It should be a boost for the team, right? Or is this just a team that's left for dead? I'm not quite sure, because there's a lot of banter and antics going on in the background. There's a lot of noise. Usually that's good. I'm not going to lie. That makes me want to back the Saints, but there's no way I could do that because the database is so heavy on the Falcons in this spot. I'm going to let the dust settle, continue to gather information, and bet it accordingly. Ultimately, when it comes to handicapping games and making your bets, it's comparing price versus information. You're weighing the price of the game versus the information you have available. And my information's much heavier than this price. So, and then last thing, as we talk about the sharp trap, and usually that's a 3.5, 3.5, where the line moved from 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5. Now we're talking about a 2, 2.5, 2.5, 3 that's moving to a 3.5. Well, what happens when home dogs that open 2.5 or 3 close at 3.5? They're 20% ATS over the past 3 seasons. So this is just a number that there's no way I could be involved on the home dog. And it's sad to say.
I don't think it's sad to say. You can't, it more than anybody else that runs with us, that it's such a complicated sport. There should never be a firing mid-season unless the coach does something egregious off the field. Seriously, because it's just too complicated. And when Woody Johnson made the move with the Jets, it was a mistake. And here,
they lost that next game.
They did. And I'm with Action Jackson. It's just totally different. Hockey's a much, much simpler sport. It means you can't even compare the two. And so, this is a divisional game. You have a coach in Raheem Morris who's trying to build something here and build an edge. I mean, I don't think I've ever done this before, honestly. I'm so caught up in NBA and NHL and MLB, backing a team that just, fires their coach. But I think the Falcons should be the look. And if we trust the Falcons' ability to play a little bit of defense, like we saw last week against a pretty weak Cowboy squad, then why wouldn't this game go under? Because I don't know how the Saints are going to score. Now, the problem is, though, and I don't know what Lattimore meant to this team. Did they want Lattimore off? Is he sulking out there? That's the question that I can't answer. But I think the Falcons should be bet here. And I do not expect this is a very, very difficult spot for Rizzy. I mean, Rizzy's never been. How is he supposed to come now? I mean, it's helpful that the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator are still there. So what's Rizzy really going to do? Slap ass? Like what's he really going to do? Does that make it easier? Because with Ulbrich, you were taking the defensive coordinator and moving him to head coach? Is it easier? You would know this better than anyone else. Is it easier for an assistant coach to take over if the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator are still there? Does that make it much easier than the situation that we saw with the Jets?
I would say that's tough. That's tough because it's all relationships at that point. How strong are the relationships? How strong was the communication prior to the coach being fired? I would say that varies. That's hard for me to pinpoint. But I'm moving on to Jim.
Are the Saints a sinking ship? That's what has to, because if it is, then we're leaving money on the table if we're not fading them here.
I'm not leaving it on the table. I mean, prior to the season, I moved on the Lions in futures. I moved on the Eagles in futures. The only other future I was looking at was Saints team total under. Saints to have the worst record in the NFL. They're falling right into my category here. I just moved on it. Atlanta Falcons -3, -118.
Yeah, I agree. It just feels like a sinking ship.
And this is honestly, this is a great candidate for a money line parlay piece too. The Falcons, that is.
All right, let's roll. And then but then I'm going to stay off the under, because if it is a sinking ship, this final score could be 47 to 17 or 4. Like the Falcons could run it up.
Divisional games, the road team 4-1 ATS, 5-0 to the over in this situation, and the average margin of victory is 9.4. And the games they've won, the average margin of victory is 14.75. So yeah, I would say the side rather than the total.
Yeah, no, I'm interested. I think I'm going to join you, and I should move on that soon because number is climbing. Omar Gadet saying Falcons can score. They can't stop much, but they can score. There's no doubt about that. I don't trust their defense at all.
But that's between the 40s. Like, that's the best part about making this bet is I should have brought this up. I definitely have this note right here. The Saints move the ball pretty damn well still. Outside of those first two games where they're extremely explosive, they had Shaheed and Olave clicking on all cylinders. Well, they don't got those guys anymore, and they're struggling in the red zone. Derek Carr historically has been terrible in the red zone, and we've seen it come to fruition last week again. They move the ball perfect between the 40s. They start to struggle as soon as they get inside opponent's territory, and then they struggle mightily when they get into the red zone.
I like it. I'm going to join you, and I cannot wait to talk about this next football game. Let's roll. 1 p.m. Eastern. San Francisco 49ers 4-4, 1-2 on the road. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 4-5, 2-3 at home. For Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. 84 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 9-mile-per-hour winds. Let's get into the line history here. We're going to start with the total. The total for this one is a 50.5. It's so high. It opened up at 49.5, climbed up to 50.5, went up to 51.5, and it's dropped to 50.5. Dropped about 6 hours ago. So high. Go to the point spread here. We have the Bucks +5. -106. They opened +6. It's too big of a spread. Doesn't make sense that the 49ers would be this big of a favorite.
Can I say this real quick, Jim?
Sure.
I want to talk about the difference between this line movement, right? We're talking about the 6 going through the 6 down to the 5, 5.5, 4, 4.5 range.
Mm-hmm.
It's way stronger for the road dog because when a home if you look at the database and you compare how often the line moves towards the home team versus the road team, you'll see that 60% of the time the line moves and moves towards the home team. So what I think I'm saying is, and the numbers bear this to be true, is that the line move for a road dog through the 6 and down into that range is stronger than a home dog, but it's still very favorable either way you break it up.
But more favorable to the road dog.
The road team. Yeah.
I like it. No, that's important. Let's talk about the Niners. Passing offense 4th in the league. Rushing offense 4th in the league. 253.4 yards through the air. 159 yards on the ground. Their red zone offense is being bad. But there's one man who can fix that. Christian McCaffrey. CMC Music Factory coming back. We expect him to be back. A red zone offense 28th in the league. 48.6%. Their third down offense, 6th in the league, 43.3%. Pass defense, 14th at 209 yards per game. They allow rush defense, 105.8. We have their red zone defense, 22nd. It's been bad all year. They're allowing touchdowns 61.5% of their time, and their third down defense is even worse, 25th in the league, allowing conversions 44.1% of the time. 49ers coming off their bye week. They were last seen a 30-24 home victory over the Cowboys in week 8. I know this team very well, and this is the third straight season that the Niners had a week 9 bye. And the past 2 seasons, and I know this every season is a new series of events, very different, new personnel. The Niners had a 9-7 record the past 2 seasons before a bye and went 16-2 in the second half and had deep runs. Now, this year, in the first half, their offense is scoring 3.9 fewer points per game than it did last season, but they've been dealing with a ton of injuries. So Christian McCaffrey comes back from Achilles tendonitis. John Feliciano, their offensive lineman. Both practice windows are open. We're expecting both to play. Jawan Jennings is back. Jake Moody, their kicker, is back. Deebo Samuel is being reevaluated. It doesn't look like he will be back at this point. Jordan Mason's shoulder has healed. D. Winters is out of concussion protocol. And Greenlaw will be returning at some point in the second half. Not this week. Talanoa Hufanga will be back before the end of the season.
I want Greenlaw back. Watching him play is just a treat. It's a treat watching him play football.
There has been all this talk about the Rams now being an opportunity to win the division. There's talk about the Cardinals being an opportunity to win the division. Is this not the buy low spot of our wildest dreams to get the 49ers to win the division? Plus money. You can get between plus 130 and higher, depending on where you shop, for the 49ers to win the division. Purdy has been excellent this year. He's been very, very good. He also has 22 rushing first downs. People don't talk about his legs. That's 5th among all quarterbacks in the first 8 weeks of the season. And it's the most of any Niners quarterback since Kaepernick, 2016. The pass rush has been weak. Nick Bosa is not getting enough help. Javon Hargrave, Yetur Gross-Matos, not there. Leonard Floyd hasn't done enough. They're 18th in sacks. They've been top 10 every year under Shanahan. They pick up Khalil Davis off the Texans today for a 7th round pick. I'm not entirely sure how much that will help. So I want to talk about I want you to touch on them for the division as well as focus on this game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. These Buccaneers are on a short week. Coming off their 4th loss in 5 games, 30-24 in overtime at Kansas City. Passing offense, 5th in the league, 250.8 yards per game. We talked about why we were on the over, and it's because they have depth at wide receiver. There's some talent still at wide receiver. Rushing offense, 10th in the league, 127 yards per game. Red zone offense, 2nd. Mayfield's playing very well. Nobody's more bullish about Baker Mayfield this year than you, Troy. Third down offense, 51.8% of the time they're converting. Pass defense is 30th. It's a problem. They allowed 255.9 yards per game through the air. Rush defense, 19th, 130.8 yards per game. Their red zone defense, 21st. Third down defense, 23rd. They come in off their 4th loss in 5 games. Baker went 23 of 31 for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Also ran 4 times for 20 yards. Cade Otton led receivers with 8 catches for 77 yards and touchdowns. Sterling Shepard caught 4 for 48, ran twice for 21. Bucks went 5 of 11 on third down, 3 of 3 in the red zone. The defense didn't give up big plays, but they couldn't get stops on third down. The Chiefs went 12 of 18. The Chiefs dominated time of possession. The Chiefs were perfect in the red zone. Now the pass rush looked good. Vita Vea, Kalijah Kancey each had 2 sacks and 3 quarterback hits. I don't want the Niners at this number. I think it's probably too big. But why not put in a big bet on them to win the division at plus money? Take it away. Was anybody convinced with what they saw from the Rams last week? Come on. I mean, we were pretty lucky, dude. Take it away, Troy. Niners, Buccaneers.
All right, there's a lot to get to here. Lots to unpack. Initially, and watching this line, I mean, obviously, it's really appealing in favor of the Bucs, and I'm trying to measure like how much of it is my sentiment, my true sentiment, and how much of it is recency bias. And we get that line movement from the 6 down to the 5. I don't know how far it's going to go. I doubt it goes down to 3.5 at this point. It'll probably hang out in that 4 region. regardless of what it is, what number we close at, if it's below 6, it's very favorable for the Bucs historically in this market. But here's where I struggle. As you alluded to, man, this is right where the 49ers are geared and ready to ramp up. They're still favorites to win the division. I'm looking at plus 105 to plus 115.
Oh, wow.
God, that seems like a pretty good number. And you look at this Bucs defense, they're Swiss cheese versus high-powered rushing attacks, even more so versus outside zone. And look with the Lions, the Ravens, the Falcons. They ran it all over this Bucs defense. The 49ers are getting CMC back, which brings so much more dimension. Imagine having a RB1 and a wide receiver one. I mean, lining him up at the slot is like he's one of the best slot receivers in the NFL when they do that. Another issue is Brock Purdy. He's been great. I talked about how our guy Patrick Mahomes has been terrible for single high cover 3. Guess who's been great for single high cover 3? It's your boy Brock Purdy. And he's also one of the best quarterbacks in the league versus the blitz, but not without CMC. So luckily CMC's back because the Bucs are going to dial up that pressure. So he's going to have a lot of CMC's going to make himself available in that situation. And he'll also lean on play action, which we know reduces the blitz effectiveness. It really does. The line movement is telling me to be on the Bucs. And well, the total alone is telling me that the Bucs are going to be able to move the ball. Their offensive, to me, like this has been so surprising that this Bucs offensive line is really a top 10 unit. You look at both pass block, run block, win rates, DVOA, however you want to break it down. Man, they've created a little bit of advantage in the trenches, and that's surprising. The 49ers defense is not as strong as it once was with all these injuries. Now we are getting guys back. Like when Greenlaw comes back, that makes a huge difference. Man, that guy plays sideline to sideline. I love watching him play. I remember being devastated. I put a lot of money on the 49ers to beat the Chiefs, surprise, surprise, in the Super Bowl. And when he went down, I told my wife, I was like, babe, it's over. We lost. It's the Matrix telling me we're done. I can't wait for this guy to get back, to be honest, and watch him play. I'm getting bullish, Jim. You brought it up. Now I can't get it out of my mind. The future market, they're still favorite. You're getting plus money. I feel like the future probably is the way to go if you're looking to bet the 49ers right now. Because this does look like a spot that the Bucs are live. Like, is it one more game? Do we want to wait? Because historically in this market, the Bucs are very live on the money line. Is in this specific matchup, all things considered, I'm going to let the line movement guide my action, which means it's a Bucs or pass. I haven't moved on it yet. I think this team is due to get blown out. They're coming on a short week versus a pissed off 49ers team who is literally geared and ready to ramp this thing up. Jimmy, what are we doing here, man? Are we moving on this future?
Yeah, it's gone down 10 cents today. It was plus 130 this morning. It's now plus 120. Yeah, I'm moving on it.
You're getting a 120.
I'm in the max bet.
115. I seen a 115. Where did I see it at? Let's see.
This is a max bet. I'm not going to move on the side. I'm a little uncomfortable with the number, although I think the Niners take care of business. Honestly, if the Niners take care of business, this game doesn't go over. I know that may sound crazy, but they'll control the clock. It's a road game. They'll run the ball and kill the clock. And, it's not, this isn't a 40-34 victory in my estimation. In saying that, Tampa Bay's defense is vulnerable. And if, statistically, despite the injuries that the 49ers have had this year, if you compare their numbers on offense to the Chiefs, the only advantage the Chiefs have is on third down offense. Clark Hedge, it would be the 49ers to win the division. Plus 120 now, not plus 130. Gerald Jones saying Tampa Bay defense giving up 33 straight weeks. Jim W. Putt says Niners defense very inconsistent. Have all the names, but they don't produce like they're paid to. No, I don't quite see it that way, Jim. They've just had too many injuries. So yes, they have the names, but the names aren't on the field. Now that they're getting reinforcements, I think things are different. Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga are monsters on this football team. Monsters. We're not even talking about losing Javon Hargrave and Leonard Floyd not being quite as good as we expected. So So I don't need to be in this game. Although, I didn't need the 49ers to win this game to keep this division alive. But I'm going to be max betting the 49ers to win the division tonight. Is anything you want on this game, Niners, Buccaneers, Troy?
No, not on this game currently.
Let me ask you then one more thing. Who is the biggest fear for the division? Is it not the Rams? Is it the Cardinals?
I think the Cardinals have an easier path for the rest of it. The strength of schedule, they were so top-heavy, early loaded with great teams out the gate, and it just falls off. I think the Cardinals are primed to compete for this division.
They are the second choice at plus 225 right now. Okay, so we have no move on this game?
Not yet, but I probably will have action on this game, but not yet, not currently.
Let's roll on. 1 p.m. Eastern. Pittsburgh Steelers 6-2, 3-1 on the road. And Washington Commanders 7-2, 4-0 at home. We're at Northwest Stadium in Landover, Maryland. 60 Fahrenheit showers, 7 mile per hour wind. So keep in mind with the showers, it can wreak havoc on our plan. Let's get into the line history. Now, we're not dealing with a ton of wind. So, the showers didn't affect us cashing our over last night in the Bucks-Chiefs game. Let's get into this here. Steelers, Commanders, Northwest Stadium in Landover. We have the total, we'll start with the spread. The spread right now is the Commanders minus 2.5, minus 117. You see threes everywhere. This has gone to minus 117 here. 14-cent move towards the Commanders at the 2.5 number. On the total here, we have this one at 45.5. It struck me that this was a high total. I also noticed that it had gone up a point. So it wasn't like I was, clamoring to get in the way of it. But I think that there could be a bias as to what we've seen from Russell Wilson through 2 games. But again, I wasn't clamoring to get in the way of it. Let's get into the cash flow here for the Steelers Commanders spot, and I've got everything here on this one. 33% of the tickets, 56% of cash on the Commanders. Feels like sharp action is on them. 83% of the tickets and 85% cash on the over. Look, there's a lot of excitement in Washington. A ton of excitement with Jaden Daniels, and they bring in Lattimore and Dan Quinn's on top of the world. Let's start with the Steelers. Saturated says, does Mike Williams help the Steelers? I think he helps them very much. Passing offense for the Steelers, 26th in the league, 190 yards a game. We know it's much better with Russell Wilson, than it was with Justin Fields. Rushing offense, 8th, 138.1 yards per game. The Clark Edge says Pittsburgh +3 all day. Tomlin 13-4 off a bye. 7-0 last 7 years off a bye. Play of the day for the Clark Edge. Omar Gadet saying 2.5. I take Washington 3.5. Play has to be Pitt coin toss game, hard pass. Not getting my money. And Random Bozo says Steelers are a more complete team. Don't trust Washington D. So the red zone offense from the Steelers is bad. Now we've only had 2 games of sample size of Russ, so we don't want to get too caught into the 30th overall. 46.4% of the time they're cashing touchdowns. Third down offense, 12th in the league, 39.5%. Their passing defense, 21st, 219.8 yards per game. Rush defense, 4th, 90.5 yards per game they allow on the ground. Red zone defense is the first. It's the best in the league, 37.5%. Third down defense, 11th, 34.7%. They're coming off their bye week. Last seen a 26-18 Week 8 victory at the Giants. I don't mind that 26-18 game. We cashed on the over. I don't. Everything that happened there. What bothered me was the week before that, the Week 7 game here, because we've seen Tomlin time and time again deliver in these situations, whether it be, off a bye or, whether it be, as a home dog. And sometimes I get a little caught up in how bad the team looks. But the 37-15 victory at home over the Jets, I was on the Jets and I was like, what am I doing fading Tomlin, as a home dog in this situation? It's still eats at me. Russell Wilson is thrown for 542 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, wins over the Jets and the Giants. Offense is top 400 yards in both games. Steelers haven't done that in consecutive weeks since 2018. Reached 20 points in 5 of their last 6 games, something they haven't done since they started at 11-0 in 2020. Tied for second in the NFL when we go to their defense. Tied for second in the NFL for 15 takeaways. But it was hard not to notice the Giants gashing the Steelers on the ground for 157 yards. It was a surprise. Now, Nick Herbig, their outside linebacker, who was, sort of a depth piece, but proved to be better than that, and center Zach Frazier have played a big role with this team this season, and they're supposed to be returning from the injury report. Herbig's not played in the game since he hurt his hamstring against Cowboys in week 5. Frazier hasn't suited up since week 6 against the Raiders due to ankle injury. They add Mike Williams. They also add outside linebacker Preston Smith at the trade deadline. Sent a 5th-round pick to the Jets for Williams, 7th-round pick to Green Bay for Smith. Let's talk about the Commanders. Passing offense, 11th in league, 28.1 yards per game. Rushing offense, 3rd, 163.9. Red zone offense, 26th, 51.2% of the time. They score touchdowns, but their third down offense is 4th at 45.9%. We've seen their red zone offense look pretty weak of late. Pass defense, 5th, 184 yards per game. Rush defense, 28th. They allow 142.3 yards per ground. Now, Najee Harris is pretty average, but he's looked pretty good with Russell Wilson. And, with Justin, after week 4 or 5, Cordero Patterson looked the best out of any of these guys, but then he got hurt, and you were forced to give the rock back to Najee Harris when Warren got hurt as well. So, and then Najee stepped up. Red zone defense, 28th. Third down defense, 22nd. Now they do bring in Lattimore, who's going to help in that regard. They moved to 7-2 for the first time since 1996, coming off a 27-22 win of the Giants. Jaden Daniels, 15-22 for 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Noah Brown led receivers with 5 catches for 60 yards. Noah Brown and Olamide Zaccheaus. Those were the leaders in yards. Now, Scary Terry did catch 2 passes for just 19 yards, but both went for touchdowns. Brian Robbins now with a hamstring injury. Austin Eckler ran 11 times, 42 yards, caught 3 for 41. Chris Rodriguez Jr. looked pretty good, ran 11 times, 52 yards. 6 yards per play, but they again struggled in the red zone, just 3 of 6. They could go 7-14 on third down. The defense bent but didn't break. The Giants put up 5.5 yards per play on them, went 8 of 13 on 3rd and 4th down. Dante Fowler had both of the Commanders' 2 sacks. And they paid a lot for Lattimore. Now, they did also get a 5th-round pick in 2025, but they gave up 3rd, 4th, and 5th-round picks. And, that the Commanders' 5th-round pick will be, much worse than that Saints' 5th-round pick. Take it away for us here, Troy, because I hesitate always to go up against the market move. What is your plan here, Steelers, Commanders?
I think that the Commanders are starting to peak out in this market. How they're priced in the market. They're barely surviving the last 2 matchups they had against the Bears and the Giants. And this matchup profiles well in favor of Pitt, in my opinion. Washington won't be able to exploit the weak Pitt offensive line. They're 20th in pass rush. They're 27th in run D. Washington won't be able to turn around and hand the ball off because Pitt's top 5 in run D, and Washington cannot generate any offensive line yards. And you got the Pitt pass rush, who's about to wreak havoc. I think this will be the best pass rush he's seen all season, especially coming off of both edges. Not just one edge, 2 edges makes a complete difference to how a quarterback needs to approach this type of pass rush. I think he might be in some trouble. I do think the Washington defense might be slightly underrated based on what we've seen the past few weeks, but they did allow Giants to go 6 of 11, like you said, on third down, 326 total yards, 2 out of 3 in the red zone. Danny Dimes threw 2 touchdown passes. I just think that this game is mispriced. Too much hype on this Commanders team. We got the Tomlin rah-rah spot. We got the Steelers off a bye. We got Russell Wilson, who's proven to add dimension to this offense. Mike Williams is there. No rush on this one for me, but I already moved. That was prior to my move. I moved on the Steelers +3, moved on the Steelers Eagles teaser, Steelers +9, Eagles -1. And I want to bring this up because this blew my mind. Looking at the Steelers, we could talk about it. Some guys were talking about Tomlin and the Steelers numbers as dogs. Well, the Steelers on the road is a dog of 7 or less with a total higher than 42. You don't see these high totals in Steelers games. You just don't see it over the past 3 years. Well, here we go. with a total higher than 42.5, because we know that 43 is a key number, 43, 44. Well, when it gets over that 42.5, they're 6-0 ATS, 5-1 straight up. And I'm finding some really strong trends on road teams out of conference that open and close between 2 and 3. Even if the market's moving towards the home team, the range is between 75 and 100%. It's actually a pretty big sample because, we see a lot of home teams that are favored between 2.5 and 3. I think that this is a great spot to back the Steelers.
And you have no concern going up against this market move?
No, because I've seen how this market play out historically.
Yeah,
now you could argue. Like, okay, that'll come back at some point. And maybe that's true. And until that happens, I'm 4,500 bets deep using the database as my guide, my freaking, predicated on the database, market histories. Until that point, I'm still with it.
I want to sell the Commanders high. I also kind of want to sell Russell Wilson high. That's the only problem. That's the only thing. I think I get there. I think I get there where you're at. But God, I would love to sell Russell Wilson high. I do not believe in what we've seen the last 2 weeks. Do you believe in what we've seen the last 2 weeks with him?
I just think that there's some offensive pieces. For example, the 50-50 moon ball out of Russell Wilson. I mean, he's a step up from Justin Fields. Let's put it that way. Justin Fields he's a very mobile quarterback. He has a big arm. He's a one-read guy. At least with Russell Wilson, you're going to get a guy who's going to be able to read left to right and make his throw, make his reads, make his progression. It's not 1 to 2 to you. I don't even think Justin Fields can make 1 to 2 to you. It's really 1 to you. I think that this is a step. Regardless, Russell Wilson is better than Justin Fields. And I do believe in what I've seen so far, how they've utilized him.
Troy on the Steelers +3 and the Steelers +9, Eagles -1 teaser. Do you agree with this market moving from 44.5 to 45.5?
I'm surprised it moved from 44.5 to 45.5. I really am, but I do know that favors the road dog. So let's get it.
Let's roll on. 1 p.m. Eastern. Minnesota Vikings 6-2, 2-1 on the road. Jacksonville Jaguars 2-7, 2-2 at home. Everbank Stadium, Jacksonville, Florida. 82 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy. 10-mile-per-hour winds. We have this total at 47, juiced to the over. Opened up at 46, got up to 48.5. It was 48.5 this morning. Dropped a 1.5 this afternoon down to 47. We still have a 1-point move on the over, but that's a pretty legit move back or buy back. On the spread, we have Minnesota +4 at even money. They opened up, Minnesota -4 at even money. They opened up -4, -106. So we've had a slight move towards the Jaguars and a slight move towards the over. Let's get to the cash flow then for the Vikings Jags game. We have 91% of the tickets and 99% of the cash on the Vikings. 45% of the tickets and 85% of the cash on the under. So the market is moving away from the cash in both side and total. Start with the Vikings passing offense, 12th in league, 22.1 yards per game. Rushing offense, 21st, 114.1. Their red zone offense been very good, 7th in the league, 64%. Their third down offense, they are converting at 40.9% of the time. That's pretty good. Vikings coming off a 21-13 win at home over the Colts. They outgained the Colts 415 to 227. Vikings had 29 first downs compared to just 13 for the Colts, and they dominated time of possession, 36-54 to 23-06. And Darnold, was strip sacked. The Colts returned it for a TD. He threw 2 interceptions, but I thought he showed a lot of character in that football game. 28-34 for 290 yards, 3 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson led receivers with 7 catches for 137 yards. He loves Darnold. Aaron Jones ran 21 times for 64 yards, caught 4 for 18. Vikings were 7-13 on 3rd and 4th down, went 3-5 in the red zone. Vikings defense was excellent. Held the Colts to just 227 yards, 3 of 11 on 3rd down. The Colts didn't make an appearance in the red zone. Pass rush had 3 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. Byron Murphy had a pick. And they welcomed their 2-time Pro Bowl tight end, TJ Hawkinson, back from a knee injury. Finished with 3 catches for 27 yards. Cam Robinson made his debut on the offensive line. They acquired him after the season-ending injury to Christian Darrisaw, who's been such a monster this year. Cam Robinson wasn't that good. A couple penalties against him. And Blake Cashman's now missed 3 straight games with the turf toe. And they want him right for the playoffs. They don't need him right for week 10 against the Jags. So I don't expect them to be out on the field. Talk about the Jags passing offense, 17th in the league, 27.2 yards per game. Rushing offense, 22nd, 113.4. Red zone offense, 17th. They're scoring touchdowns 56.3% of the time. Third down offense, third worst in the league, 31.6% conversion rate. Pass defense, second worst in the league, allowing 264.3 yards per game. Only the Ravens allow more. Rush defense, 16th, allowing 125 yards per game. Red zone defense, 31st in the league, again, second worst. 69.7% of the time they allow touchdowns. Third down defense, 26th. They allow conversions 44.5% of the time. Jacksonville comes in off a tough 28-23 loss at Philadelphia last week. I mean, I can't believe they almost won this football game. And Nakobe Dean needed that pick in the end zone. I mean, Sirianni's decision-making really made me uncomfortable about my NFC future.
All the shit I talked about Nakobe Dean, and here he is showing up at the biggest moment that they were targeting him. They were targeting him specifically on that.
He said that he didn't have a good game, too. He's like, I didn't do anything out there until that last play.
Save the day, man. I thought they were going to bench him a long time ago.
But Jacksonville almost won a game that they were outgained 447 to 215, which is nuts. Lawrence was 16 to 31 for 169 yards, 2 picks. Evan Engram led the team with 5 catches, 45. Parker Washington next with 3 for 41. Jags couldn't get enough on the ground. The team as a team, they combined for 60 yards on 18 carries. But it didn't help that the Jags offensive line suffered injuries. Mitch Morse was they thought he had a concussion. He's not in concussion protocol, but he left the game. Anton Harris, another lineman, suffered a knee injury. He's going to be fine. The only lineman that got hurt and didn't escape a real injury is Cooper Hodges. He was carted off the field with a left leg injury. He's done for the year. Jags were 3 of 10 on third down, but went 2 of 3 in the red zone. The Jags defense just couldn't get the Eagles off the field. Eagles went 9 of 17 on third down, allowed them to hold the ball for 38-12, went 3 of 4 in the red zone. The defense did step up at times. Eagles were 0 of 2 on fourth down, 0 of 3 on 2-point conversions, and then Jake Elliott tries to kick a 57-yard field goal with 2:16 left. And of course, he misses, giving the Jags the ball at their own 47 and gave the Jags a chance to win. Josh Hines-Allen had 2 of the Jags' 3 sacks. And then the question is, do you trust the Vikings to run the ball down the Jaguars' throat? And they're just not that good at that. Take it away. And now Darrisaw is gone, and, he's a guy who you would try to run behind. Take it away here for us, Troy. Vikings, Jaguars.
Yeah, I think the Jaguars, although they were in position to win that game outright, I think they were extremely lucky to cover that spread. They needed that big fumble, multiple coaching mishaps from Peterson. Peterson's living on the edge, man, over there. He's lucky to have gotten away with it. But I see mismatches all over the field. How can we make a case for Jacksonville? The defense, clearly an edge in favor of the Vikings. The offense, Jacksonville selling pieces, couldn't generate nearly any offense against Philadelphia. The coaching, O'Connell and Flores, I'll take them in a landslide versus a coaching staff that won't be in Jacksonville for much longer, and a market which is setting up to be a sharp trap. It's probably ticks down to 3.5. I doubt it gets to 3, but it's moving the right way for where I like to bet it. And how can we make a case for this Jags team? I just keep going back to that with this game. Are you going to play against Justin Jefferson in man-to-man? Sounds like a death sentence. And here's the thing about the Vikings. You can play man-to-man against the Vikings if you're going to have a deep middle hook that just favors Justin Jefferson, because 50% of Darnold's production comes from deep 10 to 15-yard in routes from Justin Jefferson. I mean, at some point, I think this offense is going to start to look a little bit more shabby, but not against the Jaguars defense. I mean, there's only one way to look, in my opinion, and I'm looking towards the Vikings. I'm looking for a 3.5, a 3. If not, I'll probably have them in a money line parlay, but I'm looking towards the Vikings. The cream is going to rise to the top at this point in the season.
And you find it a sharp trap situation where you're not afraid to roll with the public.
I'm not afraid to roll with the public in this situation.
So no move yet.
No, I want to see my book move off this 4. And obviously I would much rather have a 3.5. 4 is a pretty significant number. I'm not going to say key, but it's a significant number.
That concludes 1 p.m. games. Let's roll on to 4:05 p.m. Eastern. Tennessee Titans 2-6, 1-3 on the road. The LA Chargers 5-3, 2-1 at home. We're at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. Let's get into the line history here. We have the Chargers -7.5 at -107. They opened up at 7.5, -106. So there's been no movement at all. Getting to the total here for this one. This total is sitting at 38 at a pick'em. It opened right there. There's been no movement at all. Very little movement on this game. When we get to the cash flow for our first afternoon spot on Sunday, we have 84% of the tickets. They're not giving me the cash. So do you have the cash? About 84% of the tickets. What's the cash on the Chargers?
Let me. Oh, there it is.
Got 90.
I have a on the chart 85.
85. 93% of tickets on the over, 85% of cash on that over. So let's roll. Titans passing offense 31st in the league, 170.8 yards per game. Rushing offense 12th, 125.6. Tony Pollard's been great this year. Red zone offense 24th, 52%. Third down offense 28th. They are bad. They get conversion 32.7% of the time. Their pass defense has been very good, despite not having L'Jarius Sneed out there. 155.8 yards per game. A rush defense 11th. I know L'Jarius Sneed's been bad this year. It's hard to quantify. Rush defense 11th. They allow 113.4 yards per game on the ground. Red zone defense 26th. They allow touchdown 65.2% of the time. Their third down defense is also really good. They only allow conversions 31.3% of the time. Guillermo Zertucci in the house, our leader in NFL Pub Hub and our leader in our NFL Cappers contest and last year's champ. The guy's just been unbelievable. Another 4-1 week for Guillermo. The Titans snapped their 3-game losing streak with a 2017 overtime victory at home over the Patriots. Needed overtime to score more than 17 points. That's just second time this year they've scored over 17. But they outgained the Patriots 400 to 295. Mason Rudolph was 20 of 33 for 240 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Calvin Ridley looked very good, caught 5 for 73. And Nick Westbrook-Ikine caught 5 for 50 and a touchdown. Tony Pollard ran 28 times for 128 yards. They went 7 of 16 on third down, just 2 of 5 in the red zone. The Titans had first and goal twice. The first one ended with a pass that was tipped and intercepted. The second one was a 21-yard field goal by Falk. Their offense was bad, but their defense was strong throughout. Held the Patriots to just 3 of 11 on third down, but did let them go 2 of 2 in the red zone. Now, Drake May is different than Jacoby Brissett in the red zone, obviously. Pass rush was strong, 4 sacks, 9 quarterback hits, and the Money Hooker had 2 interceptions. They did allow the Pats to go 2 of 2 in the red zone, which is somewhat of a concern for this defense. Their safety Quandre Diggs hurt his left foot early in the second quarter. You could say that was a reason why, and it is a season-ending live frank injury. Also, Lloyd Cushenberry hurt an ankle late in the third quarter and didn't return. He's done for the year. He was a huge offseason signing. They thought he was the best center on the market, and they were trying to get Will Levis a great opportunity to succeed, and that was by signing Lloyd Cushenberry. So they lose Quandre Diggs, and they lose Lloyd Cushenberry. That was a 4-year, $50 million contract. Big loss. So Brunskill subbed in for Dylan Reduns, and it's going to be Corey Levin, who they expect. Well, Corey Levin replaced Cushenberry on Sunday, but they expected it to be Brunskill on Sunday. He had already replaced Reduns at right guard. Also, Will Levis will increase his workload this week. Callahan wants him under center, but we don't know if he will be. Tyjae Spears, L'Jarius Sneed, Dylan Reduns, who I've been talking about, we're all inactive. Their list is questionable this week. So here we go. Passing offense for these Chargers. All of their stats are improving. 21st in the league now, 200.5 yards per game. Rushing offense, 20th, 114.5 yards per game. Red zone offense, 22nd. They're getting touchdowns 52.6% of the time. Their third down offense, 11th. They convert 39.8%. All those numbers are improving. Pass defense is 11th. Their defense has been great all year. They allow 195.9 yards through the air. They're 8th, allowing 107.9 on the ground. Red zone defense, 2nd. They allow touchdowns just 40% of the time. Their third down defense, 5th. They allow conversions 32.7% of the time. Chargers coming off an impressive 27-10 victory at Cleveland. Herbert 18-27 for 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Quentin Johnson led receivers with 4 for 118, and McConkey at 5 for 64. Palmer had 2 for 63 and a touchdown. The wide receiving group is looking better and better each week, and Herbert looking more confident getting on the ball. We know how many drops Johnston had last year. McConkey's being a breath of fresh air for this group. J.K. Dobbins had 14 carries for 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. They put up 6.1 yards per play. They're a perfect 3 for 3 in the red zone. The defense looked very good, held the Browns to 3.8 yards per play. The pass rush was excellent. 6 sacks, 9 quarterback hits. Held the Browns to 1 of 3 in the red zone. Gilman, Still, Molden all had interceptions. Now, Junior Colson went out with an ankle injury. He's listed as questionable. Jazir Taylor, it looked like it was going to be a worse injury than it was. There were some fears because it was a fibula. It looks like it's okay. And Fahoko also had his arm in a sling. They're all listed as questionable this week. So the Titans now don't have Cushenberry and don't have Quandra Diggs. Do we take the Chargers at this high number? Take it away, Troy. Titans, Chargers.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be one of the people back in the Chargers with this high of a number. I faded them last week. I know. I faded them. I lost. But I'm still completely unimpressed with this Chargers team outside of their defense. Their defense is much better than I thought it was. And I've said that, after week 3, I believe, where the Chargers definitely made a complete turnaround, 360 from what they were last year. But outside of 2 big plays that were the result of blown coverage, that game against the Browns was a completely different game. And obviously where I went wrong with this game is underestimating the defense and maybe overestimating a little bit of what the Browns could do offensively. But you take those 2 plays that resulted in touchdowns away from this Chargers team, and the whole script is different. Who knows what that would be, what that would look like. Maybe it would look like the Cardinals game. It doesn't change the fact that this Chargers team does not make a good candidate for a team laying 6 or more points. Slow, grueling offense, struggling to run the ball, a vulnerable offensive line. I cannot expect this team to win by margin. And on the other hand, you have the Titans, which offensively they put up 400 yards 2 weeks in a row. I'm not saying that's what they're going to be able to do against a team like the Chargers. Tony Pollard's finally becoming more active on the ground, getting involved. Ridley is the one that's getting more involved on this offense. And Mason Rudolph, who's below average, but he's much better than what Levis was bringing to the table. This is a rare market. I'd like to see more line movement. It's only one-way action. Out of all the spreads that opened at 7.5, only one has moved towards the road team. And that game, it closed at -3. So that was definitely the result of injuries, right? So we don't see these games that open at 7.5 move towards the road team. So we'll see what happens with this market. I'm not going to be betting this game. Pass.
What chance do the Titans have without Cushenberry and Diggs? They're already a bad team. Am I overvaluing Cushenberry here?
It's tough to say. It's tough to say because I don't think that this Chargers offense is explosive. I don't think they're going to be able to generate line yards on the ground. And, I think you might be overvaluing those injuries.
I don't like big favorites, but I just think after what we just saw from the Titans, I just don't trust it. Satcher says that hook is gross. What do you think of this total at 38?
I think the low total, the historically 7.5 to 9.5, these games go over. That's why I was on the over with the Bucs game last night. But it also favors the home team, to be honest. So the low total with this big of a number actually is the one spot where the home team has been, below the 42. It has been favorable for the home team. So I think that if I was forced to play this game, it would probably be over.
The Chargers have beaten up bad teams this year.
Yeah.
I don't want to get – we can move on, but I just want to –
No, you're right. No, that's a good call out. That's a good call out, man. They've taken care of business versus these type of teams.
They have. Let's just look at the weak opponents that they've faced. They opened the year by beating the Raiders by 12, and then they beat the Panthers by 23 in Carolina. The only other time was the Saints, and they beat them by 18. Those are the only weak teams they played this year. They smashed and grabbed all of them. Okay, I'm going to need time on this one.
And this is priced exactly like Saints Chargers, pretty much, right? I mean, it opened at 39.5. It did tick up. That Saints Chargers did tick up to 41.5, but it was a 7.5 point spread. Total ticked up a little bit, and actually went under too. But the Chargers 26 points.
Okay, I'm going to need more time, but I don't want anything to do with the Titans here. Let's move on. 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Philadelphia Eagles 6-2, 3-1 on the road. Dallas Cowboys 3-5, 0-3 at home. We're at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Let's get into the line history here. We have a 41.5 juice to the over. 9-cent move towards the over. Let's get into the spread on this one. We have the Eagles minus 7.5 at plus money. At this 7.5 number, there's been a 7-cent move towards the Cowboys. From a cash flow standpoint, I don't have any information on the total. I don't know why action's screwing me like this, but I have 91% of the tickets and 91% of the cash on the Eagles. What do you have for a ticket count and cash count on the total?
I have on this total 81-81.
81-81 on the over.
Yeah.
Start with the Eagles passing offense, 20th in the league, 22.4 yards per game. Their rushing offense being great all year. Second in the league, 174.8 yards per game. Only team ahead of them, Baltimore Ravens. Red zone offense, 15th in the league, scoring touchdowns 56.7% of the time. Third down offense, 12th, converting 39.5% of third down opportunities. Passing defense, 7th in the league. Fangio's done a hell of a job, allowing 189 yards per game. Rush defense, 5th, allowing just 101.1 yards per game. Their red zone defense, 6th, allowing touchdowns just 45.8% of the time. Third down defense, 18th, allowing conversions 37.9% of the time. What a job Fangio's done. Coming off a 28-23 victory in a game they almost lost thanks to very questionable decision-making by Nick Sirianni. 0 for 2 on fourth, 0 for 3 on 2-point conversions. Jake Elliott trying a 57-yard field goal with 2:16 left. I'm very uncomfortable watching Sirianni make certain decisions here. So they almost lose despite Jaguars putting up 215 yards and the Eagles putting up 447. Eagles had the ball for 38 minutes and 12 seconds and were lucky to not lose. Jalen Hurts, 18-24 for 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also ran 13 times for 67 yards, touchdown. Saquon Barkley ran 27 times for 159 yards and touchdown. Caught 3 for 40 and a touchdown. Did lose a fumble. And also, of course, had the figure skating move. Is that what we call it? I mean, everybody loves it so much. I see a ballerina out there. Backwards jump over, whatever.
That was
Devontae,
that
it was
play
nuts.
was the most incredible play I've ever seen.
Oh. Devonta Smith caught 4 passes for 87 yards and a touchdown. He was the main focus in the passing game after A.J. Brown left with a knee injury. Brown day-to-day. Tests on his knee came back clean. It's not going to be an extended absence. Goddard hasn't practiced since the hamstring injury in week 6. He'll now miss a 3rd straight game. If we expect, I mean, we'll see. We'll see because it's a hamstring injury. Calcaterra's looked great filling in for him. Eagles were 9-17 on third down, 3 of 4 in the red zone. Defense needed a Nakobe Dean interception to end in the end zone to save the game. Held the Jags to 4-12 on third down and 4th down combined. Pass rush finished with 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. Zach Bond also had an interception. These Cowboys are an absolute mess. A horrific decision-making in the offseason. I mean, it's just crazy. They spend all this money on Dak and CeeDee Lamb, and Derrick Henry was not expensive. These running backs are not expensive. Now, Rico Dowdle did look better last week. The passing offense, 2nd in the league. We don't need to go over it because it's Cooper Rush at quarterback. Now, Cooper Rush in the 4th quarter of that game threw 24 passes. 18-24, 133 yards, touchdown. Maybe there'll be a little bit of excitement over him at first, but it's not good. Their red zone offense, their rushing offense, 2nd worst in the league. Their red zone offense, 2nd worst in the league. Their third down offense, 19th in the league. It's not hard to imagine it improving with Cooper Rush. Pass defense, 18th in the league, 217 yards per game. Rush defense, 30th in the league, 147.8. Red zone defense, worst in the league, 76.9% of the time they allow opponents to score touchdowns. Third down defense, 12, 35.4. Cowboys have already matched their loss total from each of the past 3 seasons. Amazing. I mean, this is just horrific. Cowboys coming up their third straight loss, 27-21 Atlanta. Jerry Jones said Prescott will miss an extended period of time. He was supposed to get placed on IR today. I don't know if that happened. Sorry. Rush was 13-25, not 18-20. 13-25. So he did. Sorry, I was giving you the 18-24. That was Dak stats. Cooper was 13-25 for 115 yards and a touchdown. Just one quarter of play. Trey Lance will move into the backup role. Jake Ferguson led receivers with 7 catches, 71 yards. And Rico, as I said, returned the line, looked great. 12 carries for 75 yards, caught 5 for 32 yards and a touchdown. But the Cowboys were 3 of 13 on third down. Now 2 of 3 in the red zone. Defense tried to keep them in it, held the Falcons to 4-13 on third down, but allowed them to go perfect 3 for 3 in the red zone. Pass rush expects to have Micah Parsons back in the lineup this week. That was his 4th straight game out of the lineup since suffering the high ankle sprain. Carl Lawson had the Cowboys 2 lone sacks. And they did pick up wide receiver Jonathan Mingo and a 2025 7th-round pick of the Panthers for a 2025 4th-round pick. Take it away, Troy. Cooper Rush at quarterback against the Eagles.
Jonathan Mingo, 1 yard, 1 catch on the season. Let's go pick him up. Let's trade some draft capital for this guy. What the hell are these guys doing? As everybody knows, I talked about it earlier. I'm on this Eagles team in a teaser with the Steelers. How the hell is this Cowboys team going to defend the rushing attack from the Eagles? How are they going to do it? Unless A.J. Brown is out, because their run game efficiency sinks with A.J. Brown out of the lineup because he's the deep ball threat. He's the guy demanding safety help over the top. So I think A.J. Brown's going to play in this game. I'm not 100% sure about that. Maybe he doesn't need to, looking at this spread. And, looking at this matchup in particular, Cooper Rush, maybe there's a little bit magic with him, but it's really hard to buy anything with this Cowboys team. It's just another team that seems cancerous, just broken from the top to the bottom, just infected, just another infected organization like the Saints, like the Bears. And I think about that video I've seen with Dak Prescott. He got like Man of the Year award or something, and everybody in the stands, everybody in the stadium's booing him as loud as possible. After what he's been through, it's really hard to watch that happen. And like I said, man, this Cowboys organization, from Jerry Jones, drafting terribly, managing personnel, has just been awful, to McCarthy, who continuously proves to be a clown in the NFL, and which is now starting to infect the players, right? It infects from inside out or from top down, and we're seeing that here. Great. Micah Parsons, he's back. But he probably makes the run defense worse, right? You get these pass rushers that get too far upfield, they get a little bit too happy, they're a little bit too explosive, creating running lanes. And how can we not be on this Eagles team in some way, shape, or form? I'm on the Eagles with the teaser.
Just worry if they overlook this Cowboys team. You think they won't because it's a divisional battle?
Divisional battle, yeah. I feel like this might be the last blow for the Cowboys this season. You can get out of hand. This team cannot stop the run, Jim. They're the worst defense per PFF, run D, yards per carry, any stat, any advanced metric, any metric at all you want to look at this Cowboys run defense, it's bad. It's really bad. And
why aren't you on the 7 right now?
It's just historically, this number is a win but don't cover type of spot, especially in division.
Nasty Nate looking at Eagles and under teaser, but he thinks Eagles smash. Something has kept me off of this as well at this point. So using it in the teaser, Troy is, and no action here for me. Did you have interest in getting under this total? Did you have interest in the, or is it just too low at 42 or 41.5?
It's just too low, and I'm not quite sure what to expect with Cooper at quarterback.
Let's roll on. Next up for us, 4:25 p.m. Eastern, the New York Jets, 3-6, 1-4 on the road at the Arizona Cardinals, 5-4, 3-2, a homer at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Let's get into the line history here. We have a total at 46. It's 45.5 here at -118 to the over. This opened up at 45 at a pick'em, so it's moved up a half point or a full point. So a legit move towards the over. And then on the spread, we have the Jets +1, -103. They opened up +2. There's been a 1-point move towards these New York Jets. Getting to the cash flow for this one, we have We have 40% of the tickets and 47% of the cash on the Cardinals. 79% of tickets, 76% of the cash on the over. Jets passing offense 14th in the league, 221 yards per game. Devontae Adams looked great in his third game here, and Garrett Wilson looked great. Now you have a legit 1-2, and you ship Mike Williams out. Their rushing offense, it makes no sense to me how it could be second worst in the league with 82 yards a game. It confounds me. Red zone offense 13th in the league, scoring touchdowns 57.1% of the time. Third down offense 10th, converting 40% of the time. Their pass defense second, allowing just 158.2 yards per game through the air. Their rush defense 21st at 132.6 yards a game they allow. Red zone defense 12th, third down defense 13th, pretty middling. They come in off extra rest and prep after snapping their 5-game losing streak with a 21-13 victory at home over the Texans on Thursday night. Won for the first time in 4 games under Albrecht. Rodgers was 22 of 32 for 211 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he was 7 of 14 in the first half for 32 yards. I mean, that's the lowest he's ever had in his career in 2 quarters with 10 or more attempts. Adams caught 7 for 91 touchdown. Garrett Wilson caught 9 for 90 and 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall ran 50 times for 74 yards. Jets were 6 of 13 on third down or fourth down and 2 of 3 in the red zone. And the defense looked great, holding the Texans to just 4.3 yards per play. That was a damaged Texans team that's going to be healthier as they move forward. Held them to 6 of 17 on third down, just 1 of 4 in the red zone. Pass rush looked incredible. 8 sacks, 11 quarterback hits. We've been waiting for that for a long time. Left guard John Simpson left in the second quarter with a groin injury. He didn't return. His backup, Jake Hansen, left with a hamstring injury. Elijah Vera Tucker missed another game with an ankle injury. Well, it's the first one with this ankle injury. He's listed as questionable this week, but it's important to have Elijah Vera Tucker back if Simpson and Jake Hansen are out. So it's important if you want anything to do with the Jets to read that Wednesday injury report tomorrow. Michael Carter left with a back injury and cornerback there. So important stuff on the injury report tomorrow. Talk about the Cardinals. Now 5-4, playing some good football. Passing offense 25th in the league, 190.1 yards per game. Rushing offense 7th. Running the ball nice. James Conner looks like a monster. 149.7 yards per game. Red zone offense 10th, 60% of the time they're catching touchdowns. Third down offense 8th, converting 41.2% of the time. Now their defense has been a problem. They allow a lot of yards. They are second worst team on third down in the NFL. Red zone defense has been strong. They're 11th, but they allow 228.6 yards per game through the air, which is 24th. They allow 132.9 on the ground, which is 22nd. They're coming off a dominant 29-9 victory at home over the Bears. They've now not allowed a touchdown in 2 straight home games. Hard to imagine that this defense could be this good. Kyler Murray was 13 of 20 for 154 yards. He did lose a fumble. It was a running game, though. James Conner, 18 for 107. The Cards combined to run 34 times for 213 yards and 3 touchdowns. Trey McBride led receivers with 3 catches for 35. That's it. 5 of 13 on third down, but they did go 2 of 3 in the red zone. As I said, the defense just been excellent. Held the Bears to 3.4 yards per play. Held them to 3 of 14 on third down. Just 1 failed red zone attempt. Pass rush finished with 6 sacks and 12 quarterback hits. This is a fascinating afternoon game. Troy, take it away, Jets Cardinals.
This is a really interesting game. One of the most interesting games to me on the board. I'd like to bet it. I need to spend more time with it, though, because this was a game I wasn't able to get into in depth. I had some things come up, unfortunately. But looking at the matchup just at top level, you got the first thing I think of, how are the Jets going to be able to stop the run? This Cardinals offensive line and, James Conner, this rushing attack is definitely dynamic. Now, the Jets have proven that not to be very vulnerable against the run. And the Cardinals defense is uptrending. Right? They've definitely been stringing together some good performances. You want to see that if you're a Cardinals fan, if you're a Cardinals backer. It's very, very good situation. And the Jets offense on the other side is also uptrending. And I don't believe in the pressure that we have seen. I do believe the defense is better than we had thought with this Arizona Cardinal team. But the pressure that they applied on Caleb, you go back, you watch the film on this Bears-Cardinals game. The missed assignments, no communication, obviously a bad coaching involved with all of that. And that's what led to that Arizona pass rush this past week. I don't know if it's repeatable. The motivation, I think, clearly lies with the Jets, the more desperate team, and I think this line reflects it. It's a really tough game. Cardinals off 3 wins with a bye on deck. I think the motivation definitely lies in favor of the Jets. The market also favors the Jets, especially if this line were to flip for whatever reason towards the Jets. It's already moved from 2 to 1. Who's to say it's not going to flip at this point? I think that there might be enough here with the market, the situational spot, the motivation, even if it's a 50-50 on the matchup perspective, or if you want to give 60-40, I put more value into the market, into the motivational spot. But it's the Jets. It's like, how do we bet this game? How do we bet this team? Really tough spot. I'm going to go back. I have to spend more time with this game, Jim, but I'm looking towards the Jets based on where their market currently sits.
We've been betting them every week, and it's cost us a lot of money until last week, man.
Yeah.
I
Is it just a one stop? You just want to get on the train for one stop and hop off?
No, but I mean, you believe Rodgers when he says, "Look, we can run the table." I mean, the Cardinals believe. I mean, if I make a max bet on the 49ers to win the division, I basically have the Jets this week.
I think the Cardinals defensive, the secondary is vulnerable, man. This Cardinals defense has been performing well, but Aaron Rodgers with his new toy with Devontae Adams, he's got great receivers around him. He's got great talent around him. I think they can exploit this Cardinals team.
I think so too. So what's held you back from putting your money on it at this point?
Just because I would feel uber more confident that the Jets get the job done if they did flip, and I won't mind. It'll cost me a few cents here, but at the end of the day, plus 1 unit is what I want to see in that spot. So I'm just waiting. I mean, you might get me there, Jim. You might get me there.
Yeah, I'm going to need more time to sit with it. I just, I've not enjoyed backing the Jets over and over. And thank God we got paid some money back last week. I don't know what to make of the way the Cardinals are playing. I mean, you believe that the Bears were just so demoralized and disillusioned that they just sort of gave in. So maybe this is a sell high spot on the Cardinals.
Yeah, it started with a drop on third down with 40 seconds left in the half. It was a third down. The Bears were driving. They were in their opponents in the Cardinals territory. Our guy Keenan Allen dropped the pass on third down. Would have been a first down. Instead of that, we had to make a punt, gave them the ball back. They obviously handed the ball off for a 50-yard touchdown, and then the bottom fell out. I think that it was more of a cancerous Bears team giving up, throwing in the towel, than it was the Cardinals being able to just hammer home on a good team. I think the Jets are better than the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. All right, I'm going to need more time with that spot. Let's move on to our
same line. I mean, that's what we're asking, right? This is the same exact line. I mean, maybe there was an adjustment. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe the books aren't telling us there's an adjustment after the Bears loss, So maybe I shouldn't look at it that way, but.
No, I'm going to need more time to sit with it here. Jets, Cardinals. Let's roll into our Sunday nighter. Join us right here on Pub Sports Radio. Detroit Lions 7-1, 4-0 on the road at the Houston Texans, 6-3, undefeated, 4-0 at Energy Stadium in Houston, Texas. Let's get into the line history. Speaking of line history, if you're looking for a new sports book, we have our link there at the top of our chat. Click on it. It is the new books that are giving us offers, and we are supporting them. We're trying to push for the legalization in Texas. So these are all the legal American sports books that we are supporting. We don't get a cent for anybody's losses either. We want you to take these books and destroy them. Some channels get cuts of people's losses. We are not one of those channels. It does help us. We do get a bonus for signups, but we want you to fucking milk these books as much as possible, and we hope this show helps. Let's get into the line history here with Houston, Detroit. Detroit sitting here at -3.5. Opened up at -4.5. It's dropped down all the way to 3, and then there was some buyback on the Lions once it got to 3, and it moved to 3.5. So we have a 1-point move towards Houston. From a total standpoint here, we have 49 as the total, -112 to the under. This opened up at 48.5. It climbed all the way up to 50 before there was a little bit of buyback. Still have a half-point move towards the over. Let's get into the cash flow for our Sunday nighter. We have 91. Oh, sorry. We have 86% of tickets and 92% of the cash on the Detroit Lions. We have 82% of tickets on the over. I don't have a cash flow on the over. I just have the ticket count. 82% of tickets on the over, 48.5. What do you have for cash?
On the total, I have 82% of tickets, 98% of cash.
Wow, a ton on this over. Let's talk about these Detroit Lions. Jim W. Putt says, can I use that book in Nevada? Yeah, just click on the link, put in whatever state or province you're in, and they'll tell you what books are and what offers they have for you. So it's all there on that link. Detroit Lions, Houston Texans, passing offense for Detroit, 15th in the league, 217 yards a game. Rushing offense, 6th, 152.6 yards per game. Red zone offense, 8th. Third down offense, 7th. Look, there's a very good football team. Now, they are allowing 250.8 yards per game through the air. That's 29th in the league. But rush defense, 7th. Red zone defense, 4th. Third down defense, the best in the league, despite all the injuries they've been dealing with. Coming in off a 24-14 victory at Green Bay in their first outdoor game of the season. 7-1 for the first time since 1956. They lost Brian Branch in the second quarter after he got ejected. Didn't matter. They're just running strong, man. Now, they were outgained 411 to 261. Jared Goff, he's just been so clean and so smart. 18 and 22, 145 yards, touchdown. Over his past 6 games, 82.8% of his passes he's completed with 140.1 passer rating. That's the best over any 6-game stretch of any quarterback in NFL history. It's amazing that this is Jared Goff we're talking about. Amon-Ra St. Brown caught 7 passes for 56 yards and a touchdown. The Montgomery-Gibbs combinations look great. They combined for 28 carries for 143 yards and a touchdown. They also combined to catch 4 passes for 34 yards. They play very well. But they did just put up 4.7 yards per play. The pass rush was very quiet, 0 sacks, 2 quarterback hits. Now they hope to have fixed that with Zadarius Smith. The trade for Zadarius Smith today. Detroit gets a 7th-round pick and Zadarius Smith in exchange for a 2025 5th-rounder and a 2026 6th-rounder. They've been trying to get a pass rusher for a while. They lose, since they lost Aiden Hutchinson to the broken fibula. Outside of Hutchinson, they don't have a player with 3 or more sacks this year. They're 25th in pressure rate heading into Week 10. And now Smith has 26 pressures, 7 quarterback hits, 5 sacks, 9 games this year. He's been good. But this Lions defense and this Lions pass rush, I want to watch more. I find it hard to believe that they could be this good despite the injuries that they've been facing. Held the Packers at 3-12 on third down, 1-4 in the red zone. The Houston Texans coming off extra rest after an ugly 21-13 loss at the Jets. Passing offense 13th in the league, 21.7. That's going to get a boost with Nico Collins coming back, but everybody seems to think Nico Collins coming back. I don't know if, DeMeco Ryans is just keeping his cards close to his chest or what, but he's not said that Nico Collins is going to be back, but everyone just expects him to be there. Why did the market move towards the Texans? Oh, because Nico Collins is coming back, but I don't see it. I don't see it written anywhere. Rushing offense 11th, under 26.4 yards per game. Red zone 15th, third down offense 16th. We know Nico helped that a lot. Pass defense 3rd. Rush defense 12th. So they allow 167.4 through the air, 114.2 on the ground. But their red zone defense is 3rd worst in the league at 69.6%. Their third down defense is good, 9th in the league, line conversions 33.3% of the time. Texans coming off the extra rest. CJ Stroud 11 of 30, 191 yards. He also ran 8 for 59, lost a fumble. Tank Dell led receivers with 6 catches for 126 yards. The only receivers to catch a ball were Robert Woods and Dalton Schultz. So when DeMeco Ryans gives the green light, I'd like to know. I can't find it anywhere. They say they're still evaluating him. Joe Mixon ran 24 times for 160 yards and a touchdown. So they continue to play this defense without Azeez Al-Shaair. He's listed as questionable this week. But listen to some of these possible reinforcements. First off, Jeff Okudah. I might have a bone to pick with the Lions. He's been designated to return from injured reserve. Spent the last 8 games on the sidelines. So he had a hip issue week 1 in Indianapolis. So he has a chance to play this week. Jimmy Ward, was ruled out of the Thursday nighter, but groin injury. He's missed 4 straight games. He's expected. Well, they think he could be back, which would help because it's been Eric Murray starting alongside Kalen Bullock. Then Jerry Hughes. a good defensive end. We saw him rock in Buffalo for a long time. He's being designated for a return off the injured reserve list. He's missed the last 5 games with a hip issue, so he could be back in. These are a lot of reinforcements going up against a very public spot with the Detroit Lions. You can already hear, I'm interested in the Texans. Take it away, Troy. Lions, Texans.
The history of this market type, it's historically bad for the home team. I mean, this is the epitome of the sharp trap. I'm going to be on the Lions. I mean, as long as we stay under that 4.5, I'll feel very bullish on it. And what makes this market so much stronger is the total. High totals with this sharp trap profile just turns into a freaking obliteration of the home team. And I get it. There's reasons to like the Texans. Sell high on the Lions. The defense is getting much healthier. I mean, you touched on all that. Especially with El Shair at linebacker. I think he's a huge piece. Maybe they do get Nico Collins back. I'm not sure if that's the case. The Texans should have some success offensively. I can't lie. The problem is people aren't realizing how big of a juggernaut this Lions team is. I've alluded to it in the past. Jared Goff, he knows how to execute. He has a high IQ. He can make all the throws, and he knows his role. The wide receivers, running backs, tight ends on this offense, elite at every level. Running back, tight end, and wide receiver. And this is the best O-line I've ever seen in my life. Do you know what they're about to do to the right side of this Texans defensive line? They're going to get behind Penny Sewell. They're going to run outside zone and duo. They're going to run right at Hunter and Tim Settle, who are 2 of the worst run defenders in the NFL. I really like the matchup for this Lions offense. And I talk about it all the time. Why am I so bullish on a spot like this? Is because what offense is going to be able to sustain and have consistent success in this matchup? It's going to be the team with the offensive line who's going to be able to turn around, hand the ball off, remove the variables, and have consistent offense. And that's what this team has been able to do. When you have to put 8 in the box on 3rd and 5 because the run game is that dominant that they're going to run the ball on 3rd and 5, I mean, you're fucked. The Lions offense is going to see much less resistance than this Texans offense. Texans offensive line, people are talking about it in the chat. I mean, there's so many issues with this offensive line. It's a problem. The scheme also creates issues because you got a bad offensive line. You got a scheme that has all vertical routes. None of these, you don't see a lot of stick, whip, short routes, a lot of short game. You don't see that with this team. A lot of this is down the field. And that's not good for an offense that's built the way they are. And I'm not sold on this Lions defense quite yet, but they're well coached and they grade out number 1 overall in the NFL per PFF. I mean, this team is unfadable at this point in the season, in my opinion. And we get to back this team with the sharp trap market in our back pocket. I'm on the Lions -3, -125.
Wow. Lions -3, -125. Well, I'll tap the brakes certainly on my thought process. Got a lot of time to plan this one out. But I'm very anxious to hear about the Texans defense fortifying here. I'm very interested. And I know the Lions are undefeated on the road, but it's an angry Texans group. I'm interested. I'm interested in the Texans. Maybe it's a better live spot situation because they're a dog and very easy to back dogs live. Lions score a touchdown, all of a sudden, you're going to get 6.5 to 7.5. What do you think of this total, Troy? Do you think it's high at 49, or you think that the Lions, and especially if Nico's back for the Texans, that both teams can put up numbers?
It's getting a little bit too high for my liking. But with this home dog situation, especially in the sharp trap range, you see a lot of these totals go under. So I'm only looking towards the under in this game.
Let's roll on to our Monday nighter. Monday, November 11th, Remembrance Day, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Miami Dolphins at Los Angeles Rams. Dolphins are 2-6, 1-3 on the road. Dolphins 4-4, 3-1. Oh, sorry. The Dolphins are 2-6, 1-3 on the road. Rams 4-4, 3-1 at home. SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. Let's get into the line history here for Dolphins Rams. We'll start with this total. It's a 50 juice to the over. It did open at 50. It went up to 51 before it came back to 50. Let's get to the point spread here for this one. We have the Dolphins plus 2.5 at even money. They opened up plus 2.5 at minus 106. I didn't like what I saw from the Rams, and I was very thankful that we were counting cash at the end of that game. We have 52% of the tickets and 51% of the cash on the Dolphins. I don't want my concern from what I saw from them get involved here. This is a new situation. You got to look at it with fresh eyes. 35% of the tickets and 56% of the cash on and under. Very high total. Start with the Dolphins here. Passing offense, 24th in the league, 191 yards per game. I mean, that's skewed, obviously. We know it's much higher with Tua Tagovailoa healthy. Rushing offense, 9th, 133.9 points per game, or yards per game, excuse me. Their red zone offense is being poor. Again, we don't need to take too much into any of these offensive stats because Tagovailoa wasn't there. Let's talk about their defense. 4th pass defense, allowing 183.1 yards per game. I don't even think that's a real stat also because the teams weren't concerned about getting yards and putting up points against them when Skylar Thompson was at quarterback or Snoop Huntley was at quarterback. Rush defense, 13th, 120 yards per game. Red zone defense, 16th, 56.5%. Their third down defense is 6th in the league, allowing conversion 33% of the time. They've lost 3 straight. Last 2, the Dolphins have lost on last-second field goals. 28-27 home to Arizona on the Chad Ryland field goal, and then they lose 30-27 on the 61-yarder from Tyler Bass. The offense was strong throughout, though. They outgained the Bills 373 to 325. Tagovailoa 25-28. Beautiful numbers. 231, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Tyreek Hill caught 4 for 80. Devon A. Chan ran 12 for 63 in a touchdown, caught 8 for 58 in a touchdown. 5 of 9 on third or fourth down. 3 of 4 in the red zone. The pass rush is a real problem. They're not getting to the quarterback. 1 sack, 3 quarterback hits. They did hold the Bills to 2 of 5 in the red zone. Jalen Ramsey had an interception. We need to wait for Chubb. We need to wait. He's not expected to be good to go here. Mike McDaniel thinks he's going to practice this week. They really need him. Let's talk about these Rams. Passing offense, 9th, 231.8 yards per game. Rushing offense, 26th, 97.1 yards per game. Red zone offense, 25th. They haven't had their weapons. They have them back now. Third down offense, 23rd. The same note with that one. Passing defense, 23rd. They allowed 225 yards per game. Rush defense, 24th, allowing 135.1. Red zone defense, 9th, allowing touchdowns just 50% of the time. Third down defense, 14th, 36% of the time. They allow conversions. Coming off 26-20 overtime win at the Seahawks. They won 3 straight after losing 4 of 5. Stafford, 25-44 for 298 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Cooper Kupp caught 11 for 104. Demarcus Robinson caught 6 for 94 and 2 touchdowns. And Kyron Williams ran 22 times for 69 yards, caught a 26-yard pass, but there were 3 of 13 on third down, 1 of 3 in the red zone. Their defense bent but didn't break. They allowed the Seahawks to put up 424 yards. So, yes, they held them to 4 of 15 on third down and 1 of 4 in the red zone. And Cameron Kinchins had 2 massive interceptions, returning 103 yards to the house. And, yes, the pass rush looked very good. 7 sacks, 11 quarterback hits. Jalen McCullough had an interception, leads all NFL rookies with 4 interceptions. He's been great. He's the first Rams rookie with at least 4 interceptions since Janoris Jenkins in 2012. But Rob Havenstein limped off the field with an ankle injury. He's out. He's not going to be available here, and he's a huge, huge piece of that offensive line. Look, I think the Dolphins are live in this one. I want to hear your plan of attack, Troy. Take it away, Dolphins, Rams.
Unfortunately, and I was texting you about this, I kind of ran into some issues late in the afternoon. I wasn't able to get to this game in depth like I'd like to. But at the end of the day, we're starting to find out which teams have fatal, cancerous elements. The Dolphins are definitely one of them. I mean, I've talked about it every week. I know we probably don't have that many newcomers, but I mean, there's just so many things that you should not like about this Dolphins organization and currently where they sit mentally. I mean, after losing that game to Buffalo, I don't know if there's a comeback in this team. I mean, the Rams, on the other hand, I really feel like the Rams are on the other end of that spectrum. You got one team with some upward mobility, one team with some downward mobility. The vibes are good with the Rams. The offense is back healthy. The defense is coming on at the perfect time. I know the defense wasn't perfect this past week. How many of those yards were off of a hard count? Rams jump off sides, and the Rams defensive backs just stop playing. I mean, I would venture to say over 150 yards just from that alone. So I don't know how bad this is, but the young pass rush has been pretty impressive. I still have to cap this game. I bet all primetime games. I'll definitely find an angle in this spot. But the current market, you look in the database, it's a 50-50 spot. So I'm not in any rush to move on this game. And I really don't have a feel for this game currently, Jim. I need to spend more time with it.
I would like to move on the Dolphins, but I do think that game took a lot out of them. Now they do get the extra day. That was a big one. They're sitting here 2-6. I mean, the Dolphins' whole season's on the line here. Now, maybe you could say the Dolphins' season's already over. That might be a valid statement, but I feel like they go all in this one, all in, and give the Rams a real tough game. And the 3 is appealing. The 3 is appealing, which you can pay for right now and not too expensive. So I'm going to leave it as a lean towards the Dolphins. I also think it's a real high total for a Monday night standalone. I love unders and Rams games. Now, I love them even more in division. Obviously, just in that situation. So, Jim W. Putt saying McVay was born to lead. He's just consistently doing a great job with this franchise. That is the Monday nighter. I'm interested in the Dolphins. I'm certainly not moving on it tonight. And it's a very high total. So we shall see. Let's review all action here on this Week 10 NFL card. Troy gets his card started with the Bengals +6 at -110 on Thursday. I'd like to join him. I would like to join him. By the way, Rod Zwag says, bet against Sean McVay on the money line against AFC East Division opponents. McVay's record as coach of the Rams 1-5. Great stuff from Rod. I want the under in this Giants-Panthers game in Munich, and I plan on betting it. I don't have concern that a ton of points are going to be scored. Patriots-Bears, we are off at this point, but you are very close to moving on the Patriots, Troy?
I'm not very close to moving on the Patriots. I need confirmation. It'll probably be a late bet because I think it's really going to hover really close to that 6 all week.
Bills, Colts. We have Troy believing this could be a sharp trap. We have Birdie heavy on the Colts. The under is very appealing. It's dropped a point already. It will take us some time here before moves are made. Troy's on the Broncos +8.5. I get it. I really do. It's a big, big spot for Peyton, and you think the Chiefs just want to get in and out with a win. I can understand the look here. And a buy low spot on the Broncos. Troy's on the Falcons -3 at -118. I want to get in on that tonight. Then, as I told you, 49ers win division. I'm betting that tonight.
I already bet it, Jim. I already bet it as well.
There's a possibility that the Jets beat the Cardinals and the Dolphins beat the Rams. I mean, that could happen this week. But Troy is on the Steelers +3. I get it. I'm interested. And also the teaser for Troy, Steelers +9 and Eagles -1. Then we have Troy very interested in the Vikings, but he is waiting. I had so much action last week, not as much this week. The Chargers do appeal to me. I think they just take care of business here and cover the touchdown. But again, it's a very public spot that I might want to sit with longer. Eagles, Cowboys, we've stayed off, even though it's Cooper Rush quarterback. The Eagles are appealing. And then Jets, Cardinals, at this point, no move. Although one will probably happen. Sunday nighter, Troy on the Lions -3 at -125. I want to get involved with the Texans. Everything's gone right for the Lions, except for the one game against the Buccaneers. We know season doesn't work like that. I think this is a tricky spot after they didn't look great outdoors. Now they come back indoors, but this is an angry Texans squad. I'm going to have to sit with that before I choose to fade the Lions, who are going to pay me out, man. That over 10.5 wins in the division was very well. Let's wait till we get there.
That makes me cringe so bad, man. That just makes me cringe.
My interest in the Texans?
Yes.
Well, I haven't moved on it yet. And it might not be something I move on. I mean, if the Lions deliver off the hop, this is the type of spot I want to back a football team. Angry and with getting fortified defensively, but I hear you. And then Dolphins, Rams, no action for us on the Monday nighter at this point. So there you go. That is our show for week 10, Tuesday, November 5th. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. We can't do it without you. Omer, thank you. Jim W. Putt in the house. Jared T.G. Ziggy Ball says LA Rams season on the line too. Yeah, I guess so. Rod Zawacki, Dougie Wise, thank you. Chris Mack. It's a great group that we rock with. The Clark Edge. Elaine Coleman, thank you. Action Jackson in the house. Thank you guys for rocking with us, man. Chase J, Saturated. That's great, man. Random Bozo. I know there's huge things going on in the United States of America tonight. So thank you for getting away from that for a minute and rocking the football card with us. A big thank you to our producer, Jose Bouquet, who works tirelessly behind the screen. Behind the scenes, I should say. Blue Numbers, thank you. D. Jenkins, my man, thank you. Troy, my friend, any last words for the Cappers supporting the show?
Holy shit, I just hope we get to the black this week. I believe this is the week we both end up in the black, and we just have an upward trajectory from here. There's a reason I'm here, Jim. I talked about it earlier. Pub Sports Radio. Not only is it the best community, but we have a fearless leader who is not scared to show his record for everything it is. That's Jimmy the Bag. It's a privilege every time I'm up here with you, Jim. I believe in you. I believe in Pub Sports, and let's get that cash.
Let's get that cash. Well put. Thank you for the kind words. Sorry, it's so funny these Tuesdays because the amount of work that goes in the card is just like enormous. And when you put all those hours and hours and hours and hours, I'm like just a little more emotional than on a regular show. And of course, that came out when the Dirty Reg was talking about some sort of lying or fraudulence or whatever. So say goodbye to Dirty Reg and say hello to us both being the black next week. Thank you guys so much. Let's go out there and get that cash. A giant week 10 awaits. Leche. Hey, los